What's up, Ari? Hello. I see that you are the one that is early today. And I welcome you to the Timothy stream with open arms. What's up to the people? Potentially that's watching the stream later on. What's up to the people that is just joining? Welcome back to the Timothy stream. I hope you are having a wonderful day. And your last weekend was one of both restful and excitement. Early bird. Let's go. Wait, where's me? Hold on. Where am I? Why is it not showing up? Let me check one more time. Hi! Tis I! On the chair. On the sofa. On the armchair. Whichever that is. Ali Gaming. Good to see you. Hello Rocklex. You are cooked? Yes you are. About what though? About NOD-KRAI coming out? About the amount of preparation that we have to do for one more day until NOD-KRAI? NEFER animation just dropped, so much massive thing she's carrying. Yeah. Honestly, I did not expect her to be another martial artist. Alas, she is. Hold on, let me show the screen. Which is not gonna be the leg thing. But yeah, here's the majestic man. I'm just running in the background. Hold on, I would like to have a little bit more of music volume. There we go. What time is it there? It is currently a bit over 8 AM for me right now. There are a few things for us to do on stream today in preparation for the patch that is coming tomorrow. The entirely new region, the entirely new version that is coming tomorrow. Lunar 1, that is what they're calling it. Lunar Roman number 1? One lumen numeral, what the hell that is called? Not the regular one. P-KRAI. So, the few things that we're gonna do today, Chad. Will first involve a review of the banners. We do have sneak peek of this. We already had sneak peek of this. We already know the 4 stars that are gonna appear on this banner from the live stream about a bit more than 1 week ago. But what we did not see is how trash the 4 stars on this banner is. Oh shit, spoiler alert. Then we can touch briefly on the standard 5 stars that we can get from the standard 5-star selector. There's also the constellation selector. But that's gonna be a process because people are gonna take at least 8 weeks before they can select a constellation, so we have a little bit more time with that. Technically, for the standard character selector, we can always wait until the end of the event period to see what more standard characters we're just getting from wishing, perhaps. Either on standard banner or limited banner, because that's just realistic. So we can always wait until the end of the patch to choose. And finally, we're just gonna eventually react to some videos. Is Station Onslaught resetting tomorrow? Or Station Onslaught, I believe right now is no longer accessible. And Station Onslaught will not come back again until 7 days from now, 8 days from now. Because Station Onslaught is always coming back 1 week after a new patch. You met Venti's VA yesterday? Oh shit. Nice. Was that's Christina V, right? No, wait, that's someone else. No, Christina V is voicing the other fanboy, St. Joe. See me up? What's up? Is the banner really gonna take 14 hours to be playable? You mean what? So, you mean like the banner's gonna be gone for a few hours before we get a new patch? If the question was that, yes. New patch is gonna come in about 24 hours, maybe 25 hours, and there will be a period where we're just staring at Chi-Chi. Oh wait, I have a wish. Cool. As expected. Yeah. There'll be a period where all of these banners are gonna disappear, and we're just staring at this. You finished your monthly data, 1 terabyte of Wi-Fi. Gotta leave your PC on for 10 hours for pre-install and don't know how much when updates gonna drop. There's only about 9 days, 10 days into the month and you already spent your monthly data. Krishna also voices Bennett. Erika Halaka. Gotcha. Dranko, good to see you. This music's a banger. Erika said they asked her to voice Esther off, and she only realized after that all the VA were the same, Venti's VA, which was definitely a clue since one of the VAs for Venti is a man, so he knows nothing. Wait, what? I guess the VAs are as clueless as we are. One thing that I think is really done well from Hoyoverse is how well they are keeping the lore secret. Like, there are a lot of things that we can speculate, but never things that we know before they decide to reveal it. There must be some writing teams in Hoyoverse, there must be lore teams at Hoyoverse. The entire story over the past 5 years has never been leaked. They must have planned this beforehand. How they keep it secret, I have no idea. From 12 each month at 200 kilobytes per second. Gotcha. Alright, real quick, let me go ahead and spend my... Oh, actually, I am not gonna spend my resin today, because my plan is to condense the resin, have 5 of them condensed, and perhaps I can spend my condensed resin next patch instead, farming when the new stuff are dropped. So new domain, even just new ley lines in the new region, giving new materials. One thing I'm not entirely certain about is whether, because the condensed resin are going to represent 60 resin from next patch. I'm not entirely sure what they're gonna do with the current condensed resin. Are they gonna have a new deprecated version of resin where we can just spam it, and then they have a new version of resin? This is still gonna be 40. Or they're gonna make all of our condensed resin from 40 to 60 in parallel. There we go, 5 condensed. 5 condensed. I can spend 20 of them. Big brain time. I think what's the most likely thing is they're just gonna create a new version of resin. Hello. That's the most likely thing. And then just like how, let me see, this, I don't really have an example here. That's fine.
Come on, show me your curve.
They may also just say, fuck it, it's only 5 condensed. They could also say that.
Time to say hello.
Wait, what do you mean by that? But what I'm meaning by that is they could say, yeah, no, your condensed are gone.
Let's settle down.
Because it doesn't fly like that over here. They can also just join all of our previous condensed away. That could be a thing. So basically, taking a gamble here, whether they are gonna turn into fruitful investment or just gone, reduced to atoms. But yeah, that should be all of the resin that I'm spending today, because I'm saving tomorrow. If they save it, that's cool. If they decide not to save it, that's a little bit uncool of them, but not gonna be the end of the world for me. Let's talk about the banners, chat. Gotta get rid of all the exclamation mark. Look at that. This is the free anal. Anal way, chat. This is the free anal, similar to the free kachina we're gonna get. Oh, wow, we got in Netherlands. Unusable account special, yeah. If it becomes unusable, I hope they make it so that we're gonna still have that as a souvenir or something. Oh wait, chat, let's talk about the banners. So we already knew about Llama, that he is gonna be the banner. We already knew the 4 stars that are gonna be on these banners: Barbara, Shinobu, and Kave. We knew that we're gonna have a Chronicle with Sumirozim Chronicle Bundle Sumeru Regime. With these characters and their respective weapons, it bugs me a bit that the weapons are not lining up to the correct characters. This is not a Nilo's weapon. Well, this is a Sino's weapon. This is not Wanderer's weapon. This is not Alhaitham's weapon. This is not Daya's weapon. Oh well. Kave, come home, please. Make Kave come home for you. And then we also have this. This is completely new. We did not see this during the live stream. You have a crush on Kokishinobu, is worth to pull for her even with C0. We'll get that. So, what are the values of these banners? Lauma is a good character. You know what, it's time to pull out my trusty tier list, where I try to change that from from patch to patch. Now with the addition of the 6.0 cast, Luna 1 cast, let's put them in. Lauma is a good character. She's on the support side. And because this is also taking into account the new stuff coming up, because we're in a region that cares a lot about elemental mastery and does not care that much about damage bonus anymore. The enemies that we fight will be favoring the new NOD-KRAI characters. This is Lauma. Still slightly below Bennett because he's a goat. Can change the position of a few stuff. I'm sorry, Kazuo Enjoyer. Is it ever worth it to pull 4-star? Yeah. If the entire reason you play the game is to play a 4-star, then what are you doing not pulling for that 4-star? Not following your dream? What? Why are you hoarding Primogem then if you don't want any other character but that 4-star? So obviously that's an extreme, but what we're gonna have is somewhere between the spectrum of wanting a 5-star and wanting a 4-star. It's just whether it is worth it for you personally. You can be further on the scale of, yeah, I want to save. Or you can be further on the scale on the side of, yeah, I really want this 4-star. So I'm just gonna gamble. There is no guarantee system, but what would my life be if I don't have the 4-star then? You say it is worth it and you'll go rewatch the Yansan incident? Lol. Ano is a character that has some uses, simply because she has a NOD-KRAI citizenship. It's gonna be a little bit more useful than Gina. I'm gonna say around here. Because at least she applies Hydro from off-field and that has some good uses. She actually applies an element that is useful. And Flynn should be on the DPS side, and he's gonna comfortably sit here. But we're getting ahead of ourselves, chat. Save download Luna 1. Luna 1 power. How do you make the tier list again? Is it version and then power or version? Okay, power Luna 1. Yep. You're gonna scream, got put over my king XDD. The thing is, Novelet also got a slight, you can say quote unquote, improvement with Lauma release. Because now Novelet Hyper Bloom is back on the table. And that is also a nice team that you can play. Going into the NOD-KRAI shielding, the reaction shielding, Novelet is still doing decent at his flexibility. Now, a thing that I have to make caveat is that the Hyper Bloom team will care a little less about Novelet's personal damage and Furina's personal damage, but overall the team is still dishing out well and can deal with the new content. When Novelet gets a buff, he's a flexible enough character. Though with all the new buff he's getting, his damage contribution is a little bit less important. Because if you notice that the recent buffs that he has, coming from Escofia, coming from NEFER, coming from Lauma, all these characters are characters that moves the damage contribution to the off-field characters rather than focusing the damage contribution on Novelet himself. So the team will still have Novelet, but the team is going to move slightly away from caring about Novelet's damage, personal damage too much, rather than him being an on-field driver. Notoriously, in a Novelet Hyper Bloom team with Lauma and NEFER, Novelet is contributing 30%, 30% of the team's damage, while Furina contributing 10%. So think of that what you will. Okay, with that in mind, Lauma is a good character. Maybe I'm placing her a little bit too high, but this is taking into the account of the new shielding content. If there is no new shielding content, then Lauma is sitting somewhere still on good, but maybe more toward the middle. You woke up and got greeted in NEFER gameplay? Let's go. Hello, Srijan. Lauma is a good character. Barbara is a bad character that we can ever see on the banner because we got a C0 Barbara for free and all her constellation, to put very lightly, dog shit. Barbara is also a very bad character at the base. She provides things, and she can actually be played in a Bloom team and a Nilo Bloom team, but the fact that she applies wet to herself is beyond atrocious. Shinobu is a good minus character, synergize with Lauma, because they can both be played together in a Hyper Bloom team. Kave is a decent minus character, though still also synergize with Lauma in a Bloom team. Ideally in a Nilu's Bloom team. So all of these characters in 4-star characters, all of these 4-star characters varies a little bit in mileage. But I think they have in common, they are all working with the characters on banner. Lauma. Same for this, which is changing Lauma to Nahida. Nahida nowadays is only a decent character. Because Lauma C0 is equal to Nahida C2. Straight up. And we're still gonna have uses for Nahida, but it's gonna be a lot more niche nowadays. Though Nahida is still a character that can work wherever Lauma works, and all the 4 stars are also synergizing with Nahida in the same way that they're synergizing with Lauma. Barbara in the Bloom team, Shinobu in Hyper Bloom, Kabe in the Bloom. Nahida is A+ in your heart? Nahida is A+ in my heart too. Bloom getting more buff than physical. Let's go. Hello, Aoi. Good to see you. How are you doing? And I mean, how are you doing, Aoi? Nahida got smaller with the new update. Alright, so overall value of the banner, it's actually dropping down a little bit by the 4 stars. So, good character, Lauma, good character, Barbara, bad character to see on banner. Shinobu is good minus, Kabe decent minus. Let me remind you a little bit of my ranking system. So it goes from good down to good minus, down to decent minus, and down to bad. Very rarely I'm gonna give someone an awesome, and that's better than good. Very rarely. The only 2 characters in the game are awesome, who are awesome right now are Bennett and Mahuika. The only 2. Shao Kahn competition? Yeah. XDD. So the average, to average this out, this banner is on the good minus. The 4 stars are not the best, but at least they're synergizing, so good minus. But this banner is on the only on the decent scale. Ari. Yeah, I saw your message yesterday. I hope that you spend more time for yourself. Take as much time as you need. In real life, touching some grass. Don't feel obligated to see the schedule that I share to be a schedule that you have to show up. Treat it more like, hey, these are the stream schedule, join when you can. You want to see Cutie Patootie, not potential foul? Who's Cutie Patootie? Cutie Patootie? Is this the Cutie Patootie? And then the Llama weapon are so cute next to each other? Yeah. Don't play dumb. What do you mean playing dumb? No, I'm not playing dumb. I am dumb. You have to spell it out for me. Okay, weapons. Look at these amazing looking trash 5 stars. Pull if you want the drip. The Llama's weapon is... Let me show you the stats. This is Llama's weapon. Gives some elemental mastery. Gives even more elemental mastery. Increase bloom damage, hyper bloom damage, version damage, and lunar bloom damage. The problem with this weapon is Lauma really wants energy recharge, because the way that she's buffing bloom from her combat kit is from her burst. So she's gonna have to build energy recharge with her artifacts, rather than if she uses an ER weapon like this, she can build more EM on her artifacts. So it's kind of a Farina situation where it's not as atrocious, but she can reach around 200 ER at points, and using a non-ER weapon on her like a signature is a little bit for ER requirement. Bring your good grade that exam. Yeah. Pika. Better study. But if you can get enough energy recharge on Lauma, probably since we are putting Lauma in a double Dendro team to help with her energy needs, and this weapon can be nice. It is still the best in slot weapon for Lauma, don't get me wrong. It's unlike the Farina situation where we have to break our leg to make the weapon, her Farina's signature weapon, work on her. This is at least, it's still the best in slot weapon. Just that the improvement is not that much. I think it's somewhere within like 10% team damage improvement. I'll double check right again, I could be wrong. And then there's the Nahida weapon, where it gives exactly the same amount of EM, exactly the same amount of base attack, and then increase the damage bonus of the team by typically 20%, and a few elemental mastery. Once again, it is still the best in slot weapon for Nahida, but the improvement is not that much, simply because there are some other good buffing weapons for Catalyst out there. TTDS being one of them, Hakushin Ring being another, and that one Sumeru limited weapon, what was it called again? Alright, let me show you what they are. Everyone knows TTDS, alright? Fav, Codex being a thing, Sacrificial Fragment being a thing, Prototype Amber being a thing, sometimes Nahida also used to just heal the team a little bit more. Hakushin Ring is a thing that buffs both Electro and Dendro damage. Wandering Even Star, that was what I was trying to find. The limited Sumeru weapon that gives pretty decent buffing, 48% elemental mastery as attack. So there are a lot of 4-star options for these characters. You also standing around your stock Scholar's Watch, yeah, that too. All of them, by the way. It's just elemental mastery stats stick at the end of the day. For the people that is not best in slot for. 264 EM, 264 EM, 264 EM. Technically also 264 EM. Seven and a half left for Brimstone. What do you mean by that? You build weapon petty. Who builds weapon petty? If you get a hidden weapon, what do you do with Stellaris? I mean, if you get the weapons that you do not want, then it's just gonna rot in your inventory. So luckily, we have zero reason to build petty on this banner, because all the 4 stars are not that good either. The stringless is only good minus on Fish Roll nowadays. And Fischl, after the release of Auroron, who is kind of Fischl but can hold scroll to buff the main DPS instead of providing his personal DPS like Fischl. And then with the release of NEFER, which is just better Fischl. Fischl is going out of style, unfortunately. Fischl is still gonna have a place in aggravate team where there's a driver for her reaction damage. But that's it. Her real estate is getting smaller. Fischl real estate is getting smaller and smaller these days. Baizhu is carefully holding your Star Scholar's watch right now. You know what? Baizhu is the character that can use it pretty well. It never mentioned, yeah. The float is, people call it bad. It's technically a decent minus in my books, so it's slightly better than bad, but you should not wish for it regardless, because a craftable sword is strictly better than this sword, the float. I guess there is some justification in saying that it's bad, but I want to be just giving the rating to be somewhat consistent. With the ether value, it's still giving attack percent substat, so it still does something, but it really has almost no passive. Passive is beyond useless. There we go. It sometimes does an extra physical attack. Flint's aggravate, trust. Trust. Your last stream, because day after tomorrow exam starts. Yeah, take your time, take care of the exams. Otherwise, you're gonna become a streamer. Stay in school, kids, so that you can learn to be a better streamer. Dragon's Bane, there are so much of Dragon's Bane appearing, and most likely people already has one or a lot of copies of Dragon's Bane already. But at the base value, Dragon's Bane is, it can be good minus. It can, in some situation, it can be good. So Hyper Bloom being relevant again means that Dragon's Bane is gonna have an use on Raiden Hyper Bloom, giving a lot of elemental mastery. Other than that, it's okay on Hu Tao, it's okay on Xiangling. Sacrificial Greatsword. It's only a decent energy recharge stat stick. For bonus, Greatsword is strictly better. And finally, Sacrificial Fragment is a good minus character. Oh, sorry, good minus weapon. It can be used by Barbara and Kokomi in a Bloom team. It can be used as an EM static, Elemental Mastery static for some characters. So overall, I'd say this is a good minus mana stat stick. This is a good minus stat stick. Lama's weapon is good minus. Nahida's weapon is good minus. Stringless is good minus. Float decent minus. Dragon's Bane decent. Sacrificial Greatsword decent. Sacrificial Fragment good minus. On average, it is one of the mid smash banner. I'm gonna say the value of pulling this banner is only decent. There's a lot of just mid in here. And which is fine. Instead of pulling for these, you can be saving up for even more shiny NOD-KRAI characters coming up. The realistic pulling recommendation out of these three at least is I'm just gonna say Llama. C0. Is Ano gonna be good for Llama? Not really. Ano's fine. Not having Ano is fine as well. Kakashi, what's the base damage of NEFER is right now, like Scud team, Mahuika team? NEFER team and base damage right now is 117,000 damage per second. Mahuika teams is 140,000 damage per second. A Scud team is also hovering around 130 to 140,000 damage per second. Though I should give more context than that, because Scud and Mahuika damage are some of the top in the games. Meanwhile, Novelet is hovering around 100,000 damage per second. Flame's hovering around 110. 105, I think. 105,000 damage per second. Varsa best team is also hovering around 105. Alikino best team is hovering around 98,000 damage per second. This is, I think, like 90. Just that Mahuika and Scud are a step above the rest. But keep in mind that NEFER's numbers can still change. It is very early into the beta. So Kakashi, welcome to the stream. 107, is it C0R1, C0R0? It is C0R0. Is it not surprising? No, it's C0R0. She's sitting comfortably within the top 5 DPS. A little bit above Flames actually. Is this surprising nowadays? I think it is very expected for her to be in that range. Like, not entirely power gripping the best DPS in the game right now, but sitting comfortably within top 5. Okay. That's how they do things these days. Make sure that if you want NEFER, you would want Llama, because not having Llama is 40% decrease in team damage for NEFER. It's worse than Scud and Escofia. .40 40% decrease in damage. Alright, where were we? So we talked about all the regular banners. Let's talk about the Chronicle, Summer Chronicle banner. Seiko, hello there. How are you doing? And welcome to the stream. You're excited for the next event? Yeah, I am too. Chat, are we excited for NOD-KRAI? NOD-KRAI is gonna be here in about 24 hours, yo. Do I think premium NEFER team will do more damage than premium Beressa? I don't think the numbers are in. Yes. Though it is remain to be seen whether the numbers will change throughout the beta testing. Beressa is somewhere within 105 to 110,000 damage per second. NEFER currently is 117. Now it is a little bit bait. It is a little bit bait, I believe, because that NEFER team that is performing that well is using the Heater's prototype Amber as a sustain. This is calculation from Vomfi, which is a person that does quite a bit of calculation early on in beta testing. Oh wait, not 117, 115. My bad. 2000 lower. And this team is NEFER, Yelan, Lauma, Nahida with Nahida prototype Amber for the healing. So it's a little bit fake. if we use Sing Chill instead of Yelan for a little bit more damage reduction, then it's 112. Which is still a little bit better than Varesa, but not that much. You're going for C0 Longma was the best 4-star weapon. The best 4-star weapon is going to be free. I'll show you. This is the 4-star weapon that's gonna come from playing the next patch event. This is an event weapon. This is the best 4-star weapon for her. Giving energy recharge and 200 elemental mastery at R5, which is very realistic because we can get it fully R5 from the event. It's free. Indeed, Nahida on the update, if you don't get her, you're not gonna stop screaming. I hope you get her. Still surprised Mohica is holding 150k 140. And 140 is still a little fake these days, more like 130-ish. So it's a little bit similar in terms of like we have all the DPS are having some fake DPS team. Is the Mohica fake DPS team is, I think, Mohica, Iansan, Sitlali, Escofia. Not really anyone is playing Mohica like that. And using some convoluted combo to get that high of a number. That can be hard to execute. But Mohica try and chew team, Mohica Bayonet, Silone and Silali is sitting around 120, close to 130. So similar to NEFER, Yelan, Lauma, Nahida prototype Amber. This is a this is kind of fake because Nahida prototype Amber as the only healing in this team is gonna require us to reset quite often. You have no Yelan. What's the best team for NEFER? Well, real quick, I just want to say this is the first beta version. There are gonna be at least 4 beta version, and there will be changes throughout the next 4 weeks. So everything you see now, take it with a massive grain of salt. Oh, hold on. Oh my god, this is so fake. But yeah, it's technically an option. You can use Ano here, we'll put Instructor, the 4-star set on her, and gain a little bit of mileage out of this. We can also, if we don't have Nahida, just put Zhongli in, it's gonna be a little bit worse. Also, let me check, is this Ano, what constellation is this Ano? Is this Ano C6? Yeah, this is Ano C6. Yep. If Ano is less than C6, that's minus 6,000 DPS or 115k. If Ano is less than C4, is 111k. 6, cool. We can use Zhongli, NEFER, Ano, Zhongli. Oh well, we don't look at that. This is DLS, Laumaless, DLS, NEFER. Immediately drop down to 70,000. Sustain full team, NEFER, Yelan, Lauma, Zhongli, 104. It's up to me, bye. Alright, have a good day, Psycho. Look out for my other content in terms of videos as well. It's gonna be some informative information. Have you seen Ophi and Mongoose gameplay? I have. You have to pretend to sleep. Hear my mom breathing sound. Oh, I see. You have Nahida C0R0. Yeah, that's gonna be fine. Zhongli revive? Yes. Mostly because we don't really have any other option to buff NEFER team. Because the option for buffing Dendro is a little bit limited. Zhongli being a character that reduces every enemy's resistance is at least good for Dendro. NEFER doesn't care about damage bonus, so the regular characters that buff skin edge, NEFER doesn't really care about. So she doesn't care about Yansan using scroll. She doesn't care, NEFER doesn't care about Virus and Veneer because Virus and Veneer can only swap Pyro, Hydro, Electro, Cryo, and so on. The options for NEFER is a little bit limited. What do you mean by just like Varesa, right? That. Okay, real quick. Before we get too distracted, let me finish on the banner review real quick on the Chronicle, Sumeru Chronicle banner. Deya is a bad character. Moving on. Alhaitham is a good minus character these days with the release of Lauma buffing him a little bit. Wanderer is a decent character. You're gonna see a somewhat of a similar theme. Many of these characters are outdated, but some of them are becoming a little bit better with the release of Lauma, so they're gonna be a little bit more relevant. Sino is getting buffed by Lauma, but not as much as Alhaitham, because Lauma has a passive, well, not passive, has a skill that reduces enemies' resistance to Dendro and Hydro. Alhaitham gonna benefit a little bit more from Lauma. Sino a little bit less. Sino is a decent character nowadays. Nilu is a good minus character with the release of Lauma. Tanari is a decent character with the release of Lauma. Lauma's just straight up replacing Nahida in those teams. For the weapons, other than the sword for Nilo, which can be the best in slot option for Farina, for Nilo, and for Shinobu. Other than that, it's just an HP and EM stat stick, Nilo sword. Other than that, all the other weapons on this banner are good minus great stat stick. If you're gonna pull a signature weapon for a character, I would recommend pulling the signature weapon for the character that you want to improve, not a generic weapon. Because a signature weapon nowadays is usually 20% or 15% above the second best option. It's just cope to pull for a generic weapons. Will I review your Lekino in a bit? You can put your UID in there. The butt slam, yeah. It's a little bit different, but sure, I want to look at that right now. Okay, I believe we're done with the banners. Summarize, Lauma, good. 4 stars all over the place. Barbara bad. Shinobu good minus. Carpet decent minus. Overall value good minus. Ideally, we will want a lot of Shinobu when wishing for Lauma, in terms of purely meta speaking. But of course, perhaps you like Carpet. Perhaps you like different characters. Then feel free to continue wishing for them. And take all my yapping right now is just added information, because the game is not just about combat. Nahida, decent. Same 4 stars, banner value decent. Good minus stat stick, good minus stat stick. 4 star kind of all over the place. Stringless is good minus, only official. Float, decent minus, don't take it ever because craftable weapons, swords are just better. Dragon's Bane, decent, can be good minus on Raiden, Hyperbloom. Sacrificial Grateful, decent. Sacrificial Fragment, good minus. These characters, they are bad, I'll hit them good minus. Wanderer, decent. Sino, decent. Nilo, good minus. Tanari, decent. Weapon, have in mind who you're pulling for the key of cash shot, which is Nilou's signature, and then the other stuff are just great statistic that we don't really mind losing to. Let's take a look at Rocker Ace Arlecchino. I see the UID. You have Key and you have Cookie Shinobu, and Cookie have 7696 EM and 28,000 HP. Is this right? I think you can get a little bit more EM than that, but it comes from the passive of the weapon, so only you will likely only see that in combat. Arlecchino. This is a really nice build. 27 great substats with 5 attack substats to spare, though attack substat matters a little bit less when you use a weapon that is 3-star. Regardless, it's still the best free-to-play weapon for her. This is a really nice build with working with what you have. If you want to improve her, I would suggest getting her normal attack level to level 10. Even though this is such a nice build, I think she may still struggle a little bit these days with these loadout C0 Tasukino. Top 3739 Asia, congrats to that. 4 characters top 1%, getting most of your characters top 1%, nice. Just listening to a video your cousin pumped with Saga Boy saying happy birthday comrade and told her that's Child. The Pokemon went, who's Child? Good one. Let's have some music back. Funk. Not funk, funk. She's benched as expected. Arlecchino with no signature weapon or without constellation is a little bit hard to play nowadays, especially with the no healing restriction. If she's not killing enemies fast, she is gonna be really uncomfortable to play. It's a character that relies on overwhelming the enemy, otherwise her HP is just gonna go down and down, and it's be a slugfest to play. Can I review your Arlecchino and Mohica? Show you I'm impressed? Sure. Go ahead and share your UID, Kakashi. Arlecchino is already power grab. Yes. Alright, I see the UID. She's benched because Mohica and Neverlet exist in your account, yeah. When you have an option that is both doing more damage and more comfortable to play, then why would you touch Arlecchino? Other than because you like her. Mohica's premium team has 3 defensive options, by the way. Bennett, Silonen, Bennett heals, Silonen heals, Sidlali shields. Arlecchino's premium team on the other hand is actually pretty similar, but Bennett doesn't heal her, Silonen doesn't heal her, and whatever the second character is, Sidlali provides a little bit of shielding. And God forbid you play Arlecchino Overload with no shielder. I have no idea how you're doing that. Okay. Have you updated your characters, Kakashi? Because I'm not seeing Arlecchino and Mohica. Akasha, sure. C1, like, you know, nice. This is 28 great substats with 4 attack percent. Nice. Very nice. A little bit more EM. The CM is still a little bit low if she plays in a reaction team like Vaporize or Melt. But you could also fix this with Sucrose, so I'm not gonna fuss too much about that. Ideally, I'd like to see the crit rate and crit damage balance a little bit more to a 1:2 ratio, but using a no crit weapon and still getting this much is really impressive. Only Overload. Yeah, God forbid someone plays Overload with no shield. The amount of reset you do, I respect you. This is Moika. I would like to see a little bit more crit rate, potentially taking from crit damage, because this is not 100% crit rate. When you already have above 200% crit damage, 100% crit rate is important to unlock that crit damage for you. It's gonna go to waste if you don't crit. And she has a big nuke. Missing that crit is atrocious. Other than that, this is a lot of crit substats. 26 crit substat with, yeah, to be exact. I'd like to see a little bit more EM substats rather. If you can swap attack percent substat into EM substat, that'll be a little bit better. But yeah, this is already a pretty good build. Skull's also gonna impress me, sure. Nice. This team is relying on the cryo resonance, so make sure you have that enabled. I see 2 Skull. R1. Very cool. This is 27 great subs with attack percent. Attack percent is also quite important for Skirk. I believe it is as useful as a crit damage substat. Let me check. Substat priority. An attack percent is almost as important as crit damage. Yeah. It's more important than crit rate since you already get close to 100 with cryo resonance. It's a great build. This is a great build, especially for a character that comes out somewhat more recent. Since we have more times to farm for the artifacts of other characters, and Alekino is the character that has her artifact in the strong box already, so it's understandable she have more higher quality artifacts. This is not in strong box, it will be soon, next patch, so you can potentially improve this build if you want. Well, tomorrow, actually. Hello, Pribojam! Alright. Here is Deb's rank 37 Furina. Is it? No. This is not the Furina. What do you want me to look at, Deb? 12% of healer is no longer. I have no idea what you want me to look at, Deb. I see 2 different UIDs. You peer free to play? Good for you. Artifacts are free to play. Everyone have access to artifacts. Have to live one day. Where you living to? Oh, the music's banger right now. I have no idea which one's the wrong UID and which one's the right UID. After that, want to show your Mohican, New Blade, and Fish Zone? No. We're already getting sidetracked. This is the rank 37 arena, and by 37 it is 37 among a million. Let's go. 30 crit subs, 5 HP subs with some more energy recharge. Some whales are refreshing primo to resin, yeah. They also have more characters to farm for. That is getting closer, yeah. The dedication is paying off, though I would say seems to be an account made purely from farming Novelette and Farina. That would be even more impressive if that's on the main account and you're sacrificing everything else for that. But it's not very impressive nonetheless. Near perfect artifacts now, yeah. Probably need to eliminate all the bad substats. Blood stuff probably have to eliminate as well. What's the stat? I just said it. I think it's 30 grit subs, 5 HP sub, and 4 energy recharge subs. I'm playing with the map mostly because I don't really care right now. I've already spent my resin. I'm keeping 5 condensed resin for the next patch. So there's not much farming I'm gonna do today. We're mostly yapping, getting excited for new stuff. Let's take a look, bit deeper look into NEFER. You probably can find the Lake animation and Lake combat kit for NEFER somewhere on the internet. If you are wishing to find it, you can also find it in my Discord server, which I'm sharing the link currently using a bot command. You can't see shit except my beautiful face, thank you. Is this my main ID? No, this is my old account. I maintain 3 accounts on a regular basis, mostly so that I can play different characters, pulling different characters on different accounts, which is somewhat nice because I'm a content creator, so having knowledge, intimate knowledge on many characters help. Since people come, people ask for questions, and generally I try to have the answer for them. Scoundrel! For you only, are we? Alright, no first up. Where are the good stuff? Where is the juice? These are the new weapons from the next patch from Luna 2 6.1. Sacrificial Staff. It seems like this is a 4-star weapon that has a lot of base attack and a very small amount of crit rate. I wonder who is this going to be useful for. This is a 4-star weapon. I think maybe this is a gacha weapon. For 6 seconds after using elemental skill or elemental skill hits opponent, attack is increased by 8%, energy recharge is increased by 6%. Is this another Shangling weapon? Shangling weapon? 3 stacks. Oh, we want to hit with elemental skill quite often. This effect can be triggered even when the equipment character is off field. More realistically, I think this is a NEFER weapon. $150k damage elemental skill cannon, good for Kinech, is underbuilt. It's extremely hard to judge a build based on one single number, because I don't know which support you're using for him, because I don't know whether you are doing 150k consistently or that's only on a rare grid. I'm gonna need to look at the whole build. Is this gacha weapon? We don't know yet. I think it's likely a gacha weapon. A great red weapon, 4-star. Probably not gonna be free. Also have this Frost Star 4-star weapon. Crit damage. For 10 seconds after a charge attack hits opponent, elemental mastery is increased by 72. For 10 seconds after an elemental skill hit an opponent, elemental mastery is increased by 48. I think this is the NEFER 4-star weapon. Probably best 4-star weapon because it's crit damage. It's probably better than the craftable weapon. But seeing that this 4-star weapon has crit damage, I think this is also another limited gacha weapon. And finally, this is the NEFER signature weapon. 4-star crit. Yeah, we do have some 4-star crits, which is with Sit. But yeah, more 4-star crits are nice. Your team is never Longman here, the Xingqiu. Is this good? That is a 112,000 DPS team. Yes, it is good. It depends on whether you can survive with that team. Still. Yes, the Doom music's playing. Something like that. Okay, this is NEFER's signature weapon. Understandably, a lot of crit damage because she scales off both attack and elemental mastery. So similar, somewhat similar to a spread DPS or spread DPS. She likes crit. Crit rate is further increased, elemental mastery is increased, and then crit damage is further increased. Just great. With it counts in, yeah. Should you use cookie replacement for Xingqiu? Problem with cookie replacement is that... Okay, let's take a look at NEFER's combat kit real quick. So this is gonna be a lot of words, but I'm gonna try to summarize it. One of the more important thing is this thing. When Lunar Bloom happens, she's gonna improve her own damage. When Lunar Bloom happens, it generates Burden Dew, which is a new resource that Lunar Bloom does. It generates. Then she's gonna do more damage. So basically, we want Hydro character in the team. There is no negotiation. We want Lunar Bloom. And let's look at another different one. When she enters her skill, the dendro cores or bountiful cores on the ground will be converted to seed of the seed. Seed of Deceit cannot trigger Hyper Bloom or Bursion reactions and will not burst. Will not do bloom damage. And when NEFER unleashes a charge attack, she absorbs the Seed of Deceit, similar to Neuvillette absorbing the balls on the ground, similar to Navia absorbing the shards on the ground. She absorbs the Seed on the ground to do damage, and the Seed cannot be triggered with Hyper Bloom, cannot be triggered with Bursion, cannot explode to do bloom damage. So we don't want to use Cookie Shinobu. Cookie Shinobu provides literally nothing. Whatever. Well, not nothing, not literally nothing, but very minimal. Only Hydro you have a Xingqiu for Ina and Ayato Mona, wish you Xingqiu. That's it. You can use Ano. You can use Ano. Ano is a free character. But Ano with low constellation, probably not as good as Xingqiu. And also no defensive utility. Furina risks dying, and Furina also does not provide any buff for NEFER either, because Lunar Bloom damage, which NEFER is doing, is not benefiting from damage bonus that Furina provides from Fanfare. Definitely need prototype Amber on the heater, yes. You could even consider a healing build on on the heater. Using Maiden Beloved and a healing bonus circlet. Who will you use as shield? Zhongli is the only character that is useful. Or Kirara, I guess. Kirara is not that great. Kirara just applies some dendro. Zhongli is the only shielder right now that NEFER can use, because Zhongli reduces dendro resistance for the enemies surrounding the shield. Maiden Leader, yes. Maiden Leader. Dahlia? Not really. It's okay, but Dahlia does not provide anything else. Like, if we're just talking about a shielder that doesn't provide anything else, then there are some of them. You can use Layla, you can use Diona, you can use Silale, but we care about the shielder that actually providing something for the team, and that's just Zhongli. Baiju Furina. Okay, hold on. You are seriously considering Furina? This is what Furina provides. Damage bonus from Fanfare. NOD-KRAI characters does not care about damage bonus. It is a complete dead start for them. For the Goblet, they don't even take damage bonus Goblet. So Furina only provides her personal damage and killing the team. If we use the shielder for Furina, her personal damage is also not that good either, because Furina wants the whole team to be above 50% HP for her to do good damage. As soon as Furina drains everyone to 50% HP, her damage gonna drop by a cliff as well. What artifact main stat for NEFER? EM crit. Use a healer. What are the healers that we have? Guess Kokomi. Yeah, Kokomi. Where's this thing coming from?
Look out.
Real quick, the problem with Farina is not that we cannot heal her, that is still also a problem. The problem with Farina is NEFER doesn't care about Farina's buff. Kokomi is nice. Other than that, what are the meaningful healer we can use that provide something to the team? Barbara. And then we get frozen by enemies. Is there any other characters? Let me double check. I don't think there's any more meaningful characters. The characters that would provide something for the team is either Dendro character. Baiju does not really provide anything other than healing. Yao Yao doesn't provide anything other than healing. Kirara doesn't provide anything other than shielding. Hydro. Kokomi at least provides Hydro application to generate some bloom stuff on the ground for NEFER to absorb and do damage. So at least that's something. That's it. That's the only other healer is Barbara. Dahlia does not provide consistent Hydro application. He provides Hydro once every 15 seconds or something, twice. He does not do off-field Hydro damage. Yao Yao gives Dendro bonus on her kit. The problem is NEFER doesn't care about Dendro damage bonus. It is a completely dead start for her, just like Farina damage bonus is a dead start for NEFER. Who else? The only Geo character that matters for NEFER is only Electro does not do anything for NEFER. I guess you could use NEFER purely because she's a NOD-KRAI character that also benefit from the team buffing, and NEFER would just provide some personal damage, I guess. Dino C6, anyone? Dino C6 providing 200 elemental mastery and can buff, and as well as heal the team. VV character doesn't care about Dendro. I guess that's it. Pyro doesn't care. That's it. That's all the Genshin characters. Free now an instructor in Baiju. Good meme. Lunar blooming charge. Let's go. Let's go. I'm gonna do all the lunar reaction at once. Hi, Mr. Whale. Don't mind me.
Strike a pose. Let lightning echo.
What's the team currently using? Oh, this team. That's fine.
One shall not back down. Strike.
Wait, it's not dead yet? Alright. Give a moment, chat. Take a look at this majestic woman real quick. I'll be right back. I'll go to the bathroom real quick and we yap more.
The secrets of the mechanical arts are too profound to convey in a few simple words. Oh, but why must the listener grow weary whenever I begin to divulge them? If you are presently unoccupied, perhaps we could stop a while at once.
Hello,
For some
hold on. Welcome to the stream. Someone say Durin's better than Shangling. A lot of people are saying different things about Durin. Some people are saying Durin is a buffer. Some people are saying Durin is a DPS. Some people are saying both. Until we see Durin's combat kit, I'm believing no, motherfucker. Alright, let's meme around. I do have a few videos that I have in my backlog I want to watch. Some people yapping about NOD-KRAI. I think interesting to look at. Alright, music off. This is a video from Sorrousness. Why does NOD-KRAI character design feel like Genshin? I think she brings up some good points. I was only watching about 1/5 of the video before. See what the full one.
After a year of NOD-LAN, NOD-KRAI's character designs feel like a return to Genshin. After a year of NOD-LAN, NOD-KRAI's character designs feel like a return to Genshin. While many people loved the NOD-LAN cast, most would admit that when put into context, there's something about their designs which makes them feel a little out of place, in a way which even characters like Skirk or the Shades do not. NOD-KRAI provides a sharp contrast. The new characters not only look fantastic and full of personality and intrigue,
hello, by the way,
they just feel like Genshin characters, even though they do have an eclectic mix of styles. But what makes a design feel like it comes from Genshin in the first place? What makes others feel like they don't? And why does it matter? Where did NOD-LAN's designs diverge? And why does just a glimpse of NOD-KRAI make so many of us so excited? Characters are the most important part of a gacha game, and a shared design language for their appearance is an essential foundation upon which everything else rests. A design language is a system of visual elements and lines which are used to
getting excited for NOD-KRAI. That's what's up today.
Even if you've never heard of the concept before, you'll have encountered countless in your life. Tech companies have created famous and rigorously regimented examples, such as Google's material design, but while others are not so explicitly defined, they are no less iconic. When you watch an animated movie, you can instantly tell the difference between a cartoon saloon film or a Studio Ghibli one, even though both studios create absolutely stunning 2D animation. The shapes, the colors, the textures, the movement, all of these things instantly make it obvious which is which. That consistency makes things fit together. When it comes to video game characters, the biggest benefit of a clear design language is that it makes everyone in the game feel like they belong. It's the kind of thing we feel on an instinctive level, which can be hard to even put into words if you don't know what you're looking for, and where each specific aspect can seem obvious when pointed out in isolation. And one important thing to remember is that this is not a value judgment. A character who does fit the language can have a design you actively dislike, while one which doesn't fit can have a gorgeous appearance. If a character which which I feel sticks out, feels like a cohesive part of the world to you, that's fine too. It's subjective, and the different parts of a design language might feel more or less significant to each individual.
Have I seen the Genshin manga? I have not.
At college, almost specialized in fashion before picking graphic
I think
design,
they is sharing a few more comics recently.
For The Sims 4, so this kind of thing always really stands out to me. To some people, it just won't matter as much. Either way, when done right, it all comes together to make the entire experience feel so much more immersive. When it comes to Genshin, there are a few different layers to this. First, the higher level themes. The setting as a whole is a blend of high fantasy and steampunk elements, with occasional magitech science fantasy thrown in.
Got a giant rat.
It takes inspiration from different real-world aesthetics and adds its own unique flavor on top of the fantasy, steampunk, and magitech vibes, which are common throughout Teyvat. Many regions even include a couple of divergent takes on their theme, applying slightly different dialects of their design language to different factions, which make each one feel visually distinct without straying too far from what you'd expect from that region in general. It could take an entire series of videos to talk through all the nuances to Genshin's world design philosophy, so let's focus on the characters here. Each individual character's design can land anywhere within the diverse space between pure fantasy and pure steampunk. There's tons of scope for creativity within those borders. Each region's characters tend to inhabit a similar region of that space, so they all feel closely related, and they usually embody a specific trope or character ideal which matches their personality and their place in the world. The themes of the world
seems a bit more fantasy
in specific are expressed through the design of the characters, and as a result, from a conceptual perspective, they usually feel cohesive. Second,
this quest.
Signature visuals. Obviously, a large part of a visual style is dictated by the aesthetics provided by the game engine and how they've configured it, and there are some other traits inherent in the anime aesthetic that inspired the game's style, such as the approach to face design, the flamboyant hair with bright pastel colors, and so on. But there are other consistent details which Hoyo have clearly decided to stick to on their own. Genshin characters' clothes tend to be built up in lots of layers. Instead of
the rat tail hair,
they usually have multiple smaller pieces of clothing which are overlapped on top of each other to create the overall effect. Detached sleeves, for example, are very common, as are multi-layered capes or other long strips of fabric. To me at least, this has always felt like a very distinctive stylistic choice, and it greatly contributes to whether any given character feels like they fit the world. They also often have extensive
There's a video summary called What's the Genshin Impact manga even about? Alright, I'll take a look at it later.
Or trinkets unique to each character. Clothes often have bold color choices or beautiful printed fabric. Hair tends to be pastel colored, again with multiple layers and flashy ornamentation, and it's often split in two in some way. And of course, there's a very strong trend of balanced asymmetry, where the different elements of the outfit are asymmetrical, but their distribution provides an overall sense of balance in spite of their lack of symmetry. And third, the movement and expression. Genshin's character movements strike a balance between realism and idealism. Most characters are graceful, and the fluidity of every movement is emphasized by the flowing layers of fabric. They are rarely exaggerated or cartoonish. The animation avoids the approach common to much anime, where the characters are transformed into chibi form whenever they express emotion, and instead their expressions are restrained and as close to realism as possible given their stylized faces. Each character's combat animations are unique, and they further express their personality through the way they move.
Was this an event? Was this an event cutscene? I think I missed this event. Maybe it's a summer event of Sumeru.
In the game respects continuity. In combat, they aim to make it look and feel good above all else, so it's pretty common to see characters switching stances in a single frame to ensure the animation feels snappy and responsive. It's always been interesting to me that even characters where you are not intended to ever use their normal attacks have beautifully crafted attack animations, and the detailed recovery animations in particular have always been a highlight, especially because they strongly evoke their personality. There are, of course, occasionally one or two characters in each region which buck the trend set by the others from that area. Since they're fairly rare, these outliers feel almost like an accent color, a clashing hue which adds a little contrast to the overall picture,
Manga's canon.
To highlight the uniformity of the rest by a way of comparison. But though they stand out from the others from their region somehow, they tend to follow the more general visual language in their own way, and so they still feel like they belong, even though they stand out. Genshin's design language is the reason the game can feel so cohesive while including so much variety. The moment you look at a character, you know whether they belong in Teyvat, and it's often obvious which region they're from, even from a glance. And when someone stands out, there's often a reason for it. That was all pretty theoretical, so let's look at some of the specifics for each nation, leading up to why Nalan feels out of place to many. Mondstadt embodies that most stereotypical of fantasy aesthetics, medieval Europe. In some ways, it feels a little more generic than the other regions, but that could just be because of how familiar the medieval fantasy setting has always been. The Knights of Favonius are a perfect example of a more specific design language used for a smaller set of characters. They're very cohesive as a group, with a military vibe and a consistent color scheme, despite each one having unique takes on the shared appearance. Mondstadt also has
the white
mages,
take.
religious figures, and other fantasy
I noticed this just
stereotypes
now.
like a bard or a wild child raised by wolves, all of whom feel part of the same world. Some, like Mona or Fischl, do feel a little more out there than the others, each for their own reasons, but on the whole, it all fits together. Liyue, of course, is a fantasy interpretation of Chinese culture, and it's here Genshin's character design language feels at its strongest. The clothing often has even longer strips of dangling fabric, and there are consistent design details like that quintessentially Mandarin collar shape. Hairpins and other classic jewelry are another theme, as are clasps for fastenings, and strings and tassels are ever present. Those lust are often bright red, which is clearly inspired by the cultural significance of that color. The outfits as a whole tend to have a strong contrasting color combination, and there's a lot of those geometric patterns or other detailed prints across large swaths of fabric. While there are a couple of outlier characters who do bring in some extra influences, overall...
This is a really good analysis of this.
Inazuma takes the high fantasy...
I kind of have always been seeing or feeling the cohesiveness, but having them pointed out to me is still nice.
Emphasis over to Japan. Many characters wear clothes which are clearly inspired by kimonos or yukatas, often with their overlong sleeves as one of the most prominent dangling layers. Several characters have oversized bows on their back, while many have some martial ornamentation, armor, which reflects the warlike state of their nation. The fabric tends to have some areas with bold patterns and prints, with areas of simple plain color. Many characters wear sandals, Kujusaras being the most pronounced. While many of the characters here fit that martial aesthetic, a handful do stand out. Ito and Kuki feel like they're inspired by the darker part of that world, and fit the region very well despite their slightly different aesthetic, while Kokomi looks like a mermaid princess and feels a little out of place when stood next to her compatriots.
That's true. I never thought about Kokomi feeling a little bit out of place in Inazuma. Fontaine's your favorite design? Yeah, I believe each region brings their own flavor into it as well. I love how so far we see Mondstadt, which is European inspired, Liyue being inspired by China, and Inazuma being inspired by Japan. I think they are bringing the elements of those designs quite well.
Meanwhile, is a fusion of Middle Eastern, South Asian, and North African cultural influences, and leans heavily towards fantasy with a sprinkling of magitech. Their clothing tends to be in bold, highly contrasting colors, with either no print at all or just some subtle geometric flowers. The fabric looks noticeably lighter and more flowy than in other regions, which fits perfectly with the climate and cultural references of the region. While the fabric itself is less detailed, the designs still have just as much intricacy as any other region. Instead, the details are cast in gold and silver embellishments woven throughout their designs, which add an eye-catching metallic shine. Another interesting common thread is that Sumeru characters often have either a belt or a waist scarf from which the majority of their random objects or other strips of fabrics hang. Sumeru has at least two distinct subcultures which are emphasized in their characters' designs: the scholars of the city and the warriors of the desert, both of which are instantly recognizable. And Sumeru's most out-of-place character is actually my favorite example. Faruzan's style doesn't quite fit with the rest, and it makes so much sense. She's from 100 years in the past and hasn't changed her sense of fashion, so the reason
Kongui is a fish, of course she's built different.
she stands out is that she's literally out of place. A perfect example of storytelling through design. Next, Fontaine, which has a Victorian-era theme and brings to that steampunk streak front and center for the first time. This is easily my favorite region from a design perspective. There are ruffles everywhere, lace, bows, corsets, ball gowns, layered fabrics, fancy hats, and intricate accessories, with that occasional metallic sheen for the steampunk style touches. Victorian-era style combines so well with steampunk that even though there's a diverse range from Fremine's clockwork diver aesthetic to Furina's courtly style, every single character here feels perfectly at home together, with the possible exception of
Definitely.
Seiya, who is very Alice in Wonderland, and Escoffier, who is unfortunately just an ugly mess. Sorry, coffee
Okay. Okay.
fans.
Most people over 40
Okay.
use ChatGPT like it's Google. Copy, paste, ask a basic question.
When looked at through this lens, it becomes pretty clear why so many of us felt that Natlan's characters were not only out of place in Teyvat, but also discordant as a group amongst themselves. When it comes to the higher level themes of high fantasy mixed with steampunk and a dash of magitech, there's very little about them which expresses those ideas from an aesthetic perspective. Instead, the only real common thread is that they feel a lot more modern. I had been really excited by the prospect of seeing Genshin fused with the beautiful aesthetics of those diverse cultures which informed the style of each of Natlan's tribes, but was left disappointed. And worse, not only was that thematic depth no longer there, they took a big step away from the visual styles as well. The tropes from the rest of the game were often missing from most of the character designs, and while most did include at least one of these tropes, each of them used a different one to the others, so even there they lost all cohesion. And even more, they changed their mind on animation and introduced more cartoonish and exaggerated tropes as well, both in terms of facial expressions and in terms of movement. Morlani looks like she could fit in the world with all her dangling fabric and light pastel colors until you see her very cartoonish attack animations, her exaggerated expressions, and her bizarre pufferfish swimsuit idols. Auroron's clothes have layers, but he literally wears ripped jeans and a hoodie. Chaska echoes the asymmetry from the rest of the game, but her asymmetry is pointedly unbalanced. Shilonin has dangling
What do you mean by pointedly unbalanced?
from the rest of the game, but
Bike lady.
her asymmetry is pointedly unbalanced. Shilonin
You got Versa. Cool.
has dangly clothes as well as multiple layers, but she looks like a DJ wearing denim short shorts instead of the renowned smith she's supposed to be. Revessa has detached sleeves and some tassels hanging from her belt, but nothing about her aesthetic fits Teyvat. Kinich, Iansan, Aoife, they all feel like they strayed a little too far away. The only one who, to my taste, really looks and feels like a Genshin character is Citlali, and even she has her weird pillows and some out-there animations. And of course, our rebel biker chick Marika, the worst offender, and I'm particularly sad when comparing what we got in-game to the multiple fantastic outfits she had in several trailers, each of which fulfilled all the common themes which had been so wonderfully consistent up until this point. And again, let me emphasize, this is not a value judgment. I love Auroron, for example, both in terms of character and design, but he does not look like a kind-hearted farm boy who pours his love and attention into his vegetable garden, and he does not feel like he comes from Teyvat at all. I'm even one of the 3 Chaska design enjoyers in the entire world. It's not wrong to love these characters, it's not wrong to like their designs, and it's also not wrong to notice that they just don't fit with anything that came before.
Versa and Citlali seems to fit in Natlan. I think for me, Citlali fits. Versa seems like a slightly different design. It's not entirely in cohesion with the other, but I also believe that not a lot of Natlan designs are incoherent with each other.
In love with Genshin, in part because of that magical mix of high fantasy, steampunk, and varied real-world cultural aesthetics, and for years they just kept on putting out fantastic new designs. Sometimes people found that the unique aesthetics of one region didn't quite work for them, but often that just meant that those who came straight after ended up being even more appealing than the ones which came before. Fontaine in particular was my kryptonite, and I just adored every single character from that region. So when Natlan came along and broke away from those design styles and aesthetics which we all had loved so much, it's natural that many felt that the game was no longer built for us. After all, a major part of what we love was visibly being thrown away. It will have been a factor in why many people gave up the game entirely, and it is a major reason I personally stopped spending money to collect every character. Though more on that once it's time for me to write my Natlan retrospective. My only hope was that Natlan would be an aberration and that Darway's tearful speech and
we're looking at some design choice in Natlan right now in terms of character.
Future regions was going to be a return to form, and Natlan was just a casualty of the time they spent going in the wrong direction. And so, NOD-KRAI. After Hoyo's unexpected developer discussion stream, where they acknowledged the failures of their storytelling, I was curious what direction they would take. The faction descriptions on the website for the Song of the Welkin Moon sounded promising, but I remained skeptical. The music was ethereal, and the landscapes they showed looked like they would fit the wider themes, but then again, Natlan's music is fantastic, and the landscapes there are gorgeous too. In the 5.8 livestream, we got to see 3 of the upcoming characters. NEFER was the main event, and while many felt she too was a little out of place, to me she is a perfect example of Genshin's steampunk vibes, and more than anything, she reminds me of the robot from Fontaine, turned into a playable character. While her layered cape does echo some of the design language which has been neglected in Natlan, a playable robot is always going to be an outlier, and I felt that we couldn't really judge the direction based off her alone. We caught a brief glimpse of Einar, NEFER's creator, and she kinda feels similar too.
Similar in what way? Come on. Don't keep me hanging out.
While she does have that Genshin vibe to some extent, she's definitely at the outside edge of what would fit the themes. And again, this felt inconclusive. She was obviously from the...
For some reason, I think NEFER is a character that fits into the Genshin vibe in terms of character design more than the Natlan characters, and she's a robot.
Clan Crumbcake craft shop.
Do you feel the same, Dad?
She would be an extreme end of the spectrum, even if they were...
There's something about her design. I guess it's once again just a flowing cape, but that does happen quite often. Does Natlan characters have a lot of flowing capes?
Turning to their roots. But then, at the end of the livestream, they dropped the trailer for Lama.
EVE Online? What do you mean?
She is at the fantasy end of the spectrum, and her design screams Genshin. Layers of flowing fabric, intricate ornamentation, pastel colors. She's absolutely gorgeous and feels like exactly what I've been missing throughout Natlan. And then they dropped the character teaser trailer, which revealed 7 new character designs, and it really feels like a return to form. As promised,
You had thought if Columbina have a burst and sings or is singing her burst like Asha and Robin.
Many different factions, so as a group, they feel as incohesive as the Natlan cast. But this time, each of them has a different take on those classic design tropes which were so consistent before Natlan, either marking them as traveler from one of those earlier nations, or at least making them feel like they belong. Jehoda stands out as a little on the modern side, but she fits well with NEFER and Einar. Durin looks like a new take on the styles of Mondstadt's Church of Favonius. Flint's is just perfection, dark and brooding, with flowing multi-layered cape and intricate silver work. NEFER is a distillation of the Sumeru Deserts aesthetic. Nicole looks simply gorgeous. Varka is almost exactly how I had imagined.
That's a little bit biased, to be honest, on Nicole.
Simply gorgeous. Sure. Varka is almost exactly how I had imagined him. And then we have Alice. After loving her more traditional witchy outfit teased in a previous trailer, unfortunately, her actual design is the biggest disappointment for me. She does have a lot of the classic Genshin trope, so she very much fits in the world, but she's just not what I had hoped for. She's a collection of all the Genshin design tropes that I don't like, crammed into one design, with the...
I still have bottom of the concept, the heart here. I want her to have a real witch hat.
mere concept of a hat on her head to top it off.
Yes.
Perhaps her witch outfit to match with Cleese will be a skin for later on. In terms of theme, every last one of them feels like they belong in a fantasy steampunk world. And in terms of visuals, they have the overlayered clothes, the strips of dangling fabric, the
Oh, I just realized Lauma's horn just grew in this scene. See? The horn is short.
Visuals, they have the
I just realized.
clothes, the strips of dangling fabric, the detached sleeves, capes, embellishments, and trinkets hanging everywhere. The color schemes look right, the voice acting is great, and something about the way they act makes me suspect they'll dial back the cartoonish animations. Throw in Sandrone and Columbina, and it's clear why we are all so excited. And finally, a couple of days ago, they released NEFER's trailer. I have not watched it. Her and Einar are two of the characters I was least interested in out of the NOD-KRAI cast, based on designs alone, and I need to save my Prima Gems, so I have to keep my distance and wait for a rerun. From what I've heard, the trailer is fantastic, and the pair of them are just heartbreakingly adorable, and even though it's just a couple of minutes long, it has at least come close to convincing people who were skeptical to pull for them already. I love robots, but I can't afford for them to suck me in, so this one will have to wait. It's still very early days for NOD-KRAI, but once again, I can't help but compare to how I felt this time.
Her blood is white, yeah.
After Fontaine, I was so
white
ready
or
for the next
cyan.
region, but even though I loved dinosaurs and thought the Saurians looked great, something about
We're
the
probably
early
not gonna see
Frontiers
blood
left me
in-game, though.
unexcited. NOD-KRAI
Because
is just as varied,
it's still a
just as
PG-13
eclectic,
game, I
yet
believe.
There are already so many characters who feel so fitting in the world, and even the more out there designs feel just about within the bounds of verisimilitude.
Yeah, for the people just joining in, we're taking a look, a deep dive look the Natlan character design choice and the NOD-KRAI character design choice. Why the NOD-KRAI character design feels like Genshin. This is a really good video, by the way. She dives deep into the feeling of cohesiveness and how, for example, a Ghibli studio animation feels like Ghibli studio animation.
We cannot judge until we've encountered them in-game.
Get feeling Columbina is gonna destroy Sandrone.
Whether Hoyo have managed to fix their storytelling problems, and also how successful any fresh new gameplay feels. But for the first time,
I'm gonna refrain from
it feels
saying
like they're moving in the right direction.
I'm gonna refrain from saying some other leaks because some of them are story related and maybe people are not interested in knowing them and more discovering the story for themselves. I'm usually more interested in the leaks that about the characters' combat kit, characters' combat strength, so we can make more educated wishing decision. But beyond that, I'm not interested in the story stuff. I want to experience the story as the developers intended.
I can't wait to see more. Until next time.
Woo, cool. Okay, so that was a video from Sorosness on why does NOD-KRAI feel like Genshin. NOD-KRAI design. Let's see. I do have a few other videos lining up. This one is from Minslev regarding the lore of NOD-KRAI. I think I've watched this video a little. Am I confirming your theory? I am not confirming nor denying your theory. I will not get into it. I do know some things, but I do not know a lot of things because I purposely try to avoid it. Alright. I watched like 1/3 of this video. Why are we having another ad already? Come on, YouTube.
Woodworking is
And
more than a
another.
craft. It's an art that transforms
What are you
raw
doing?
wood into
So the NOD-KRAI livestream just dropped, but you haven't played Genshin in a while, meaning you're probably wondering, what the heck is NOD-KRAI? It's not one of the 7 nations. It's not even in the big roadmap trailer Genshin released 5 years ago. It just
What is
appeared out of
NOD-KRAI?
nowhere. NOD-KRAI was indeed
Appropriate
created
question,
after the
seeing
fact,
that it's coming
but
tomorrow.
It might just be the most important region we've seen so far. It's actually here to solve a massive problem, one that people have been complaining about for a while. Why are characters like Alice and Varka, names we've been teased with for years, suddenly showing up here of all places? Why does NOD-KRAI sit right before Snezhnaya?
Based on trailer, Sandrone is having a war moon view. Yeah.
Against Celestia. And if this place didn't exist in the original plan, what lore was so important enough that Hoyoverse had to create an entirely new region?
An entire new region.
NOD-KRAI isn't filler.
The enemy's
and it's
design is
actually the best
also
time to
gorgeous,
hop
by the
right
way.
back into Genshin. It is the
Just
key
seems
to
fitting.
understanding everything Genshin's been hiding from us. From the Moon Sisters, to the Abyss, to the Fatui's real plan, this is where all those lore threads finally come together. So, what is NOD-KRAI? What is its lore, its factions, its secrets? And why might this frozen wasteland that apparently wasn't even supposed to exist hold the answers to Genshin's biggest mysteries? NOD-KRAI isn't like
I think what the developer has intended from the beginning is probably a little bit of NOD-KRAI story was gonna be in Snezhnaya. And maybe they have expanded it a little to include more of the lore explanation. The lore has always been hidden in books, hidden in places that people don't really read. So it's nice that they are giving us a little bit more exposition of these lores.
any of the regions we've gotten before. This isn't chapter
Possible
6
Moon Maiden
or
will protect
version
Moon people.
6.0.
I think that's
In fact,
also
the whole
likely.
story arc has its own name, Song of the Welkin Moon. And instead of the usual 5.0, 5.1, 5.2 format, these patches are called Luna 1, 2, 3, and so on. Which
Luna
basically
1
means
tomorrow.
Snezhnaya is still reserved for the real 6.0, and the roadmap we saw 5 years ago in the Travails trailer should still hold up. But here's why NOD-KRAI matters. The devs finally admitted something the community has been frustrated about for years. Genshin's most important lore hasn't been front and center. There's always been this massive disconnect.
Columina's
between the
luring
game's
in
lore
Traveler?
and the
Could
wider
be.
community.
She could
The
be
lore's been
deceptive.
buried in artifact descriptions, hidden in world quests, or locked away in time-limited events. And unless you've gone really deep into the lore, you probably never even heard about the three Moon Sisters, despite the fact that they're one of
I
the
only
most
heard about that
important parts
recently,
of
actually.
Teyvat's ancient history, and a huge focus of what the later patches are going to explore. NOD-KRAI is here to change that. It's the lore glue that ties all these scattered threads together. The place where the stars align, and we finally start getting answers to theories we've been chasing for years. The whole region draws heavily from Baltic, Nordic, and
Hold on,
Slavic
chat.
influences. Even the map
Obligated meme. Obligated meme.
finally start getting answers.
Genshin Amogus? Amogus?
To theories we've been chasing for years. The whole region draws heavily from Baltic, Nordic, and Slavic influences. Even the map is shaped after the Baltic Sea area in real life. Here are some of the locations we'll get to explore.
Oh my god. From just a mere crush, now I am full on must pull, or the must pull cab for NEFER.
Haha Isle is where the Fatui have set up their Kuvaki Experimental Design Bureau, running strange mechanical projects that tie into the Pale Star Edict and Columbina. Hisi Isle belongs to the Frostmoon Scions, an isolated group who worship the goddess of the new moon, but may be forced to defend themselves against the Fatui's interference. Nasha Town is NOD-KRAI's trading hub, full of travelers and adventurers. The region was once little more than a wasteland, but its merchants rebuilt from the ruins, and out
I'm
of that
also
effort,
growing
Nasha
more
Town was born.
fond of the steampunk vibe town as I've seen it more. I'm growing more fond of it. First, when I first saw that from a very small picture somewhere, I think the town looks a little bit bare-boned, but I think it's pretty cool now.
More than a wasteland, but its merchants rebuilt from the ruins, and out of that effort, Nasha Town was born. Just outside is the Lempo Isles, home to the Kling Klang Kurumkake craft shop, which also happens to be where the Lightkeepers once battled the Wild Hunt.
I want to be her
Then
servant.
there's Blue Ember Lake, a place we know
Perhaps.
very little about so
Perhaps.
far. You can tell NOD-KRAI is going to be a lore-heavy
Talking
region
about
when
lake
its trailer
character, wonder who
opens
was
with
it?
one of the biggest reveals we've ever gotten. It turns out this is the place where the Traveler and their siblings' spaceship
I didn't want to join Zeiss at the first place.
Wow.
I'll tell you a story. I went to the interview. The schedule is
first
Jesus.
landed in Teyvat. Yes, Traveler and their sibling are aliens. For years, everyone assumed their crash site was Conria, but no, it was here, in NOD-KRAI. All the Traveler remembers is their sibling waking them up, and the two of them leaving the
So the first thing that I'm gonna do in the new patch is, still, obviously checking out the new region, just pulling new characters and explore around, fighting enemies. But then I also want to get to the sibling quest that I've been not doing. I was waiting for the voice acting to show up, but I think I've waited long enough. I want to catch up with the lore of this Abyss sibling. So gonna do the Abyss sibling quest, which was from 5.7, I believe. So we're gonna take care of that after the hype of tomorrow's NOD-KRAI. A little bit. Not immediately tomorrow, but maybe toward the end of the week or the beginning of next week.
ship behind. Now, before we dive into each faction and all the confirmed characters, I need to rant for a second. Because Hoyo did something I don't think enough people are talking about. They stopped making the collected miscellany videos. You know, those beautiful narrations where Dainsleif himself, the man, the myth, the legend, my husband, would introduce new characters and give us lore alongside their movesets? Gone. They replaced them with short in-game trial clips starting with NEFER in version 5.8. So, if Dainsleif won't...
I wonder if that is... Wait. Maybe that's related to the newest Abyss sibling quest, and Dainsleif is no longer doing things. But don't tell me. If it's related to the quest, don't tell me. Maybe it's a long reason why they're not having Deez Nuts voicing those videos anymore.
Give us the lore anymore.
Maybe it's just logistics.
I will. That's right, I'm stepping up as a dutiful wife to pick up where he left off. Because this is NOD-KRAI, and this is where everything in Genshin's story, and apparently my relationships, start to change.
No comment.
After all, I am your leafy lorekeeper Minslif, so as someone who's kept up with Genshin's lore for 5 years, I got you. So now, I need you to listen to me very carefully. What I'm about to tell you might be the most important piece of Genshin lore you'll ever
tell me more
to know. In this live stream, the devs even joked about how important this piece of lore is to NOD-KRAI. Seriously, if you've ever wondered why Paimon is so mysterious or why so many strange things in Teyvat feel so connected, this is the most important information you need to know. From NOD-KRAI and onward, everything that'll happen will keep coming back to this important lore bit. Long before humans
She's hyping it up.
Teyvat was a world ruled by dragons. At the top were the 7 dragon sovereigns, the original rulers of the 7 elements, and above them all was the dragon king Nibelung. Nibelung was the original ruler of the planet, and he also—
I kind of did the quest, but I kind of skipped over most of the voice lines. Well, the lines of the characters, so it's nice that she's summarizing it here.
So created the 3 moon sisters.
The dragons created the moon sister.
Moons. The names of the 3 moons were Arya, Sonnet, and Canon, also called the Eternal Moon, the Iridescent Moon, and the Frost Moon. But we don't know exactly which sister held which title. But together, they governed the skies. Then came the invasion from beyond. An alien god known as the Heavenly Principles.
Hold on. Do you see that this— I don't know if this is a real picture or not, but this seems suspiciously like Aether. The hairstyle. Is this an official picture? I think I've seen this picture before, but I'm not sure if it's official or not.
Descended on Teyvat. During this first war, the Heavenly Principles defeated the dragons, claimed the world, and created humans. The 3 Moon Sisters were also placed under the control of the Heavenly Principles, an act the dragons saw as the moons betraying them. From that moment, the old world order was gone. Dragons were cast aside and the era of humanity began.
Don't waste 6 months designing print-on-demand products that nobody's gonna buy.
If you want the dragon, they be your 3 moon sisters.
But Nibelung wasn't finished. Refusing to accept defeat, he left Teyvat and returned with forbidden knowledge from the Abyss. With this power, he launched a second war against the Heavenly Principles, what Neuvillette later calls the Great War of Vengeance. Murals first showed Nibelung as a radiant white dragon, but the Abyss twisted him into something darker. The Great War of Vengeance tore the world apart. Entire civilizations fell, and even though he believed the Abyss would give him victory, it only brought ruin and the near extinction of dragonkind. When the war finally ended, 2 of the 3 moons were destroyed. The Eternal Moon and the Iridescent Moon shattered, while only the corpse of the Frost Moon still hangs in the night sky.
Oh, the Frost Moon Zion. Oh, I finally made the connection now. The Frost Moon is the one that remains. Okay. Eternal Moon, Iridescent Moon, and Shattered.
So remember this, there were 2 great wars in Teyvat's ancient past. The first when the Heavenly Principles descended and conquered the dragons. The second when Nibelung returned with abyssal power to seek vengeance and lost everything. 2 of the 3 moons were also destroyed during the second war. The dragons weren't mourning when the Moon Sisters fell. In fact, they were glad the Moon Sisters were destroyed. But that was only the beginning. Because while the fall of the Moon Sisters shaped the ancient world, what happened next would shape NOD-KRAI itself. The legends give way to history, and it all starts with this story. Long
still bad? Just one more.
Ago,
it will come gradually.
2 children dreamed of creating a paradise. One grew up to be remembered as the Torch Forger, a hero. The other became a bandit named Reed Miller. Their story would shape the history of NOD-KRAI.
Okay.
At the time, Snezhnaya wasn't ruled
Who was
by the
these
Syriza.
characters?
It was ruled by the
Law
Belatsar,
Skipper.
the first
Confirmed.
Cryo Archon, also called the Tsar of all Fae. He reigned with the help of the Knyazes, powerful nobles, and was served by the Snowland Fae in his royal court. But then came a mad monk. Obsessed with breaking through the false sky, the mad monk convinced the Belatsar to chase the lost power of the three Moon Sisters. When the cataclysm struck and Conria fell, the monk was consumed by the abyss, and the Belatsar vanished, likely perishing in the chaos. In the middle of that destruction, the Torch Forger rose up. With the help of a priestess from the Frost Moon Scions,
Founder of the
channeling
Lightkeeper,
the light
priestess of the
Frost Moon,
Frost Moon Science.
he unleashed a beam of light that pushed back the abyss. Survivors rallied to him, and together they built a lighthouse, a symbol of hope and a weapon against the darkness. After the Belatsar was gone, the Syriza ascended as the Cryo Archon. To protect his people's future, the Torch Forger struck a deal with her. NOD-KRAI would defend Snezhnaya's southern borders from the abyss, and in return, their lands
Deep law,
would remain free. That childhood dream of a paradise had finally
Who are these people?
true.
Torch Gripper and Reed
NOD-KRAI
Miller.
was born, an autonomous region located in the southernmost
It's probably
part
gonna be more related to the lore of NOD-KRAI, something that people may have read in Artifact set or something.
on the edge of Teyvat. From that day forward, the Lightkeepers of NOD-KRAI upheld their oath. They believed that as long as the lighthouse stayed lit and they fulfilled their duties, they would live in freedom. But freedom always comes at a cost. One night, the sound of the wild hunt thundered across the land, an army of abyssal wraiths promising death and ruin. The Fatui showed up, claiming they were there to help. But Pietro revealed the truth. If the Lightkeepers fell, NOD-KRAI would be Snezhnaya's again. The Fatui turned their back on NOD-KRAI.
What do you mean by turn them back? The agreement was Lightkeeper defend against the Abyss and then they keep the dependency. So if the Lightkeeper fell, the Fatui would be back on NOD-KRAI. That was the agreement.
And the
Right.
Lightkeepers were left to die. Not long after, Dottore moved in to build his stronghold. So yeah, it's safe to say the relationship between the Lightkeepers and the Fatui is probably not great at
What's
all.
the White Hand against Abyss on Turbo? That's basically it. They are Abyss but stronger.
NOD-KRAI was born from a dream of light, but it has been haunted by betrayal ever since. Or maybe it's haunted by something else. The soul of a Tsar, waiting for the chance to return to his people? So what's NOD-KRAI like today? NOD-KRAI is a lawless land. There's no Archon, no central government, just powerful factions constantly fighting for control. The biggest rivalry is between the Lightkeepers and the Wild Hunt, two sides locked in an endless war. NOD-KRAI also sits right on the edge of Teyvat, which made it the first place hit by the Cataclysm. That's why the Abyssal forces here are unlike anything we've seen before. Everyone in NOD-KRAI is after the primordial power of the moon, known as Kuvaki. It's one of the oldest, most primordial forms of elemental energy.
Is Flint's an ancient? He's been living a while, I think.
Most primordial forms of elemental energy, and it also serves as the region's main power source. This power is older and stronger than the 7 elements, and every faction here has a stake in it. Some want to harness it, others want to destroy it. And then there's the moon wheels. They look like visions, but they're not. Long ago, the Heavenly Principles and the Moon Sisters created them for their human followers. These moon wheels let mortals connect with the goddesses through ritual, and like visions, they're formed from the stuff of the soul. Whoever has a moon wheel can command the power of Kuvaki. So far, Aino is the only character with a vision, while the rest have moon wheels. So, in NOD-KRAI, you've got no Archon, no ruler, rival factions at war, abyssal armies sweeping the land, and divine power up for grabs. Which raises the real question. If no one rules NOD-KRAI now, who will claim it next?
Columina the Archon of NOD-KRAI would save her people, surely.
With so much chaos in a land with no ruler, it falls to the factions to decide NOD-KRAI's future. At the center of the struggle are 11 factions you need to know about. Voynich Guild, Clink Clank Krumkake Craft Shop, Wild Hunt, Lightkeepers, Frostmoon Scions,
Uh-huh.
Treasure Hoarders, Snowland Fae,
Yeah. EVE Online!
New Eden.
Fatui, Adventurers Guild, Knights of Favonius, and the Hexen Circle. Let's start with one of the most...
What is Ano's vision case? I think Ano... It just looks very similar to the other NOD-KRAI characters' Moonwheel. There is zero distinction visually between a Moonwheel and a Vision. It's just whether the game decides to call them Moonwheel or Vision. That's it. There's no visual distinction at all, as far as I know.
Most powerful forces in NOD-KRAI today, the Voynich Guild. On the surface, they're just a commerce guild. But in a land with no Archon, no government, and no official Fatui control, their influence runs deep. Liben even calls them the strongest force in the region.
Wait, is Voynich Guild the one under NEFERs? Hold on, let me check again.
Wild hunt you need to know about. Voynich Guild
Right.
control, their influence runs deep. Liben even calls them the strongest force in the region. That raises some questions. What kind of things have they collected? Strange relics, cursed artifacts, forgotten tech? Maybe even some of the biggest lore bombs in the game, just collecting dust in their vaults? From the outside, they seem generous. Liben said they recovered his stolen goods and even paid him back. Sounds nice, but what if they've staged the whole thing? In a lawless land like NOD-KRAI, power isn't just strength. It's reputation. And the Voynich Guild
What's Dory doing here?
both sides to keep theirs flawless. At the top of their hierarchy is the Curatorium of Secrets, led by a woman named NEFER. According to a NEFER knows the past...
Oh, okay, so that's why I've been getting confused, because Voynich Guild and Curatorium of Secret are two different things, but kind of interconnected. Okay.
present, and maybe even the future. Her mind's been compared...
Abyss Order and Abyss now White Hunt. I understand the difference between Abyss Order and Abyss. I think Abyss Order is under the Abyss sibling, and just the Abyss is like the lawless, the kind of Abyss that do not follow anything. White Hunt, yeah, we have to see what the difference between that is.
to a living the present, and maybe even the future. Her mind's been compared to the past, the present, and NEFER. According to a NEFER knows the past, the present, and maybe even the future. Her mind's been compared to a living database, and she's so feared that even outlaws fall in line under her. NEFER's partner is Yehoda, a legendary bounty hunter with a flawless record and a bionic arm. Apparently, Yehoda mistook a krumkake for a weapon and nearly attacked NEFER, but after tasting it, she warmed up. Since then, she's been a frequent guest, often bringing components to Aino as gifts. The Curatorium of Secrets strictly stays neutral and refuses to take sides with any faction in NOD-KRAI. For the traveler who has no choice but to get involved in NOD-KRAI's conflicts, that makes the Curatorium an unpredictable obstacle. They might have the answers we need, but unless we play by their rules, they might withhold everything. The name Voynich itself may reference the Voynich manuscript, a real-world mysterious book filled with unidentifiable plants and strange symbols no one's ever decoded. If Hoyoverse is drawing influence from that, the guild could be aware of aliens, descenders, outlanders, or
that picture never fails cracking me.
The manuscript was named after Wilfrid Voynich, a Polish book dealer tied to the anti-Tsarist movement.
I think Dory may be a little bit more important than just an event. Maybe she's appearing in the story quest or Archon quest a little bit.
At the Voynich Guild having anti-Tsaritsa leanings in game 2. And here's something really interesting. Wilfrid ran one of the biggest rare book businesses in the world. In Genshin, books often hide forbidden history in plain sight, disguised as fairy tales. So, if anyone's hoarding ancient texts or even rewriting history, it's probably the Voynich Guild, which makes the Curatorium of Secrets sound a lot less like your typical traders, and a lot more like gatekeepers of the truth of this world. The Voynich Guild might be guarding the truth in secret, but not every
Man, this is really hyping me up for NEFER. I hope she plays an important role rather than just some NPC.
Faction hides in the shadows. Some were there
because the premise is interesting, but Some of the Natlan stuff has made me a little bit less trusting how Hoyoverse handle things at times. Maybe they have been kind of hand waving Natlan so that they can focus on NOD-KRAI. I can cope. Because I've seen how they handle Chaska's story and I was not thrilled.
Identity proudly, machines clanking and ovens blazing. Which brings us to the Clink Clank Krumkake craft shop, a giant metal workshop on the edge of Nasha Town that smells like oil, steel, and fresh.
You go brunch, see you later. Alright, see you on my way. Thanks for hanging out.
I know, who originally just wanted to build the world's best Krumkake machine. Over time, her inventions turned the place into a hub of mechanical wonder. It's whimsical and cozy, a place where machines bake cookies but sometimes misbehave, yet it sits right in the middle of NOD-KRAI, one of the bleakest and most dangerous regions in Teyvat. And the choice of krumkakes isn't random. In real life, they're traditional Christmas cookies, which makes the craft shop feel even more wintry and whimsical. Aino herself is an orphan, a street kid who sees her mechanical creations as family. Apparently, a lot of the robots we'll see in Nasha Town are her creations. She also created a massive cannon to repel the abyss. She's proud, temperamental, and wants recognition for her work. If you praise her, the craft shop doors are open. If you don't, they slam shut in your face. In Norwegian Christmas folklore, there's a figure called the Julenisse, a small gnome-like version of Santa Claus. He delivers gifts on Christmas Eve, but he's also mischievous. Treat him well with a bowl of porridge and you'll be rewarded. Forget and you might find yourself in trouble. And honestly, that reminds me a lot of Aino. She's a genius engineer, but unlike cold inventors like Sandrone or Dottore, Aino's creations have warmth, humor, and personality. In that way, she's somewhat of a literary foil to Sandrone. Where Sandrone treats people horribly and builds tools of control, Aino builds quirky machines that feel warm and alive. Which raises a question. How much of their creator lives on inside the machines? And that brings us to NEFER. NEFER's core comes from the 11th Dragon Lord, an AI who split her essence in
Sandro
during
mentioned
the first Pyro Archon's rise. Aino unknowingly gave this AI core a new body, so that means NEFER carries memories from when dragons ruled Teyvat. She remembers Nibelung, the Dragon King who created the 3 Moon Sisters, and she remembers the heavenly principles binding the Moon Sisters to its own will. She witnessed the Great War of Vengeance when Nibelung returned, corrupted by the
Wait,
Abyss.
she's that important? Okay, hold on. I completely missed the context up until this point. She's been that old?
And she knows the truth of what happened when the 2 moons were shattered. This is
Right, okay, right. I think I remember during the quest when we asked her at the very end, she says the memory has been kind of missing because of the fighting, which is another kind of just plot inconvenience at this point.
huge because
Like, I don't remember. Find out later. In the next version of Genshin.
NEFER's weapon carries a secret, a massive warning the Fatui seem to be ignoring. And if that warning is true,
only one, which for most things is not a big deal. For example, watching a video. But if you want to do some cool things like, I don't know, web scraping.
I don't know how many ads we have seen already.
I don't think things will end well for the Fatui.
In a 42 minutes video.
But we'll get to that soon. The craft shop is warm and full of wonder because Aino builds machines with personality and care. In that way, she's almost a literary foil to Sandrone. Where Aino creates family, Sandrone might create fear. Just because Sandrone is cold and cruel doesn't necessarily mean her creations are the same. There's a real possibility that some
okay, hold on.
doesn't necessarily mean her creations
That's actually a cute picture.
are the same.
Or GIF, whatever it is.
There's a real possibility that some of her automatons might be kind, or at least not as heartless as she is.
Where is that coming from? Where is this coming from? What is this animation?
Or at least not as heartless as she is. And that brings us to one of the biggest Genshin questions. Did Sandrone create Catherine, the robotic receptionist of the Adventurers Guild? Let's talk about a faction we've known since day one, the Adventurers Guild. It feels familiar and safe. Catherine at the desk, daily commissions, and that motto we've all heard 100 times.
Ad Astra Abyssas.
In the Song of the Welkin Moon web event, we get a tease that someone important from the guild's headquarters is waiting for us. That could mean we'll finally meet the original Catherine, the one all the others are based on. And since Catherine is an automaton seemingly made in the likeness of Sandrone, that immediately raises questions. The Fatui may fund the Adventurers Guild, and Sandrone might even be involved in Catherine's creation. But if that's true, why does the guild treat the Fatui as enemies in commissions? The guild's headquarters is based in Snezhnaya, but it doesn't seem to act loyal to the Fatui at all, which means it might actually be run by a neutral group, or even by people trying to push back against Snezhnaya's control from the inside. Or it's a cover-up, and the Fatui and the Adventurers Guild are secretly working together. Regardless,
human Catherine,
it's likely we'll be meeting
I don't think there's
the
a human
OG
Catherine,
or the head of the Adventurers Guild. That's assuming the head of the Adventurers Guild isn't actually Sandrone
yeah,
herself.
I think that's just Sandrone, right?
Might be hiding secrets behind a friendly face all these years, but not every faction in NOD-KRAI has that luxury.
It's hinting so heavily at that, because Sandrone is just greeting us with Ad Astra Abyssos.
Might be hiding secrets behind a friendly face all these years, but not every faction in NOD-KRAI has that luxury. Some, like the Lightkeepers, have carried their purpose openly for centuries. The Lightkeepers are an ancient organization that has defended NOD-KRAI.
Oh my god, I can't wait until tomorrow.
Fighting back the abyss and the terrifying NOD-KRAI. But after so many battles, they're now severely weakened, and no one knows if the current generation of warriors can still uphold that mission. Their origins go all the way back to the Torchforger, the legendary figure who fought the Abyss during the Cataclysm. With the help of a priestess of the Frostmoon Scions, he raised the first great beam of light against the Abyss. Survivors built a lighthouse on the mountains as a symbol of hope and as a deterrent for the Abyss. The Torchforger made a deal with the Tsaritsa herself. If the Lightkeepers protected the southern border and fought back the Abyss, NOD-KRAI
Wait, haven't we heard this before?
That oath became their legacy. For centuries, the Lightkeepers believed that as long as the lighthouse stayed lit,
why is she staring like that?
But then,
because she's devious like that.
They returned to NOD-KRAI declaring they would revoke the sacred powers bestowed by the Tsaritsa, a polite way of saying they wanted to break the deal and take back control of NOD-KRAI. The Lightkeepers remind me of Enkonomiya. Back there, the Dainichi Mikoshi acted as an artificial sun, keeping back the Vaishaps. We even had to perform a ritual in the Three Realms Gateway offering to keep its light alive. And throughout Enkonomiya, statues of torchbearers stood as silent guardians against the Abyss.
Oh wait, really?
Which makes them
hold.
the Fatui. They returned to NOD-KRAI declaring they would revoke the sacred powers bestowed by the Tsaritsa, a polite way of saying they wanted to break the deal and take back control of NOD-KRAI. The Lightkeepers remind me of Enkonomiya. Back there, the Dainichi Mikoshi acted as an artificial sun, keeping back the Vaishaps. We even had to perform a ritual in the Three Realms Gateway offering to keep its light alive. And throughout Enkonomiya, statues of torchbearers stood as silent guardians against the Abyss. Which makes me think this use of light, or in this case moonlight, as a weapon isn't unique. It could be an ancient tradition, a practice humanity has used across Teyvat for as long as the Abyss has existed. It could explain why the Heavenly Principles chose to control the Moon Sisters instead of destroying them. Their power may be a natural defense against the Abyss. One of the Lightkeepers we know by name is Flins. Kirill Chudomirovic Flins. Chudomirovic means son of Chudomir, with Chudomir rooted in Bulgarian for miracle or wonder of peace. The epithet Arnivalkeia is Finnish.
His names actually have meanings, rather than just a mouthful.
The epithet Arnivalkeia is Finnish, meaning midsummer fire or will-o'-the-wisp, a guiding flame in the dark. His surname Flins is tied to a Slavic death deity mentioned in medieval chronicles. Put together, Flins comes across as a descendant of a long line of Lightkeepers, maybe even of the Torchforger himself. His name, along with the grave that's seen with him, suggests that his own father may have been one too. Iluga is a newly appointed Lightkeeper who was quoted in Flynn's introduction. The Lightkeepers each carry a lantern with a moonlit flame quoted in Flynn's introduction, too. Iluga
is that another Lightkeeper?
Is a newly appointed Lightkeeper in Flynn's introduction.
Okay. That may be another character that's coming up in NOD-KRAI. Maybe this person is just not in the trailer, but it's gonna come up nonetheless. If Sandrone is playable, you get her, but probably only C0. Not like Illumina who've been grinding for C6 weapon. Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough.
The Lightkeepers each carry a lantern with a moonlit flame that not only warns them of the
Ares,
abyss's
top of
presence, but
the
can also
Fowls
drive
chart
it
right
back.
now.
These lanterns even let them hear the voices of souls that the Wild Hunt appears to have claimed. The Lightkeepers didn't stand alone. They fought alongside the Frostmoon Scions. The Frostmoon Scions are one of the most mysterious factions in NOD-KRAI. They're devoted to the Moon Goddess, a deity they've never actually seen but still pray to every night under the full moon, even after centuries of silence. Most believe they're the descendants of the Moon Children, a civilization that once lived in the lost land of Hyperborea. After abandoning it, they settled in NOD-KRAI and their descendants became the Scions we know today. Their home is on Hisi Island, a place full of moon statues and ruins that look suspiciously like Enkanomiya. That might not be a coincidence. Hyperborea and Enkanomiya could both be remnants of a single ancient civilization, one that existed during the age of the Heavenly Principles and the Four Shades. According to Helka and Mawika, the Scions aren't like anyone else in NOD-KRAI. Their powers predate the 7 elements. Helka even calls it magic,
2000 last stream, yeah.
From the Frost Moon, one of the 3 moon sisters. Their symbol is a deer with a crescent moon on its forehead and antlers covered in leaves. That imagery ties back to Finnic mythology, where Hisi meant sacred places and spirit beings later
the moon goddess is the Archon, NOD-KRAI lunar reaction. Yeah.
To animals like elk and reindeer.
She is currently advertised as one.
Where the moon goddess Diana was closely tied to the deer, sometimes appearing as a triple goddess of the hunt, the moon, and the underworld. The Frostmoon Scions also appear more advanced than they let on. Helka hints that some
these NPC actually ignoring us. Wow.
Where the moon
I think at least normally for the NPC, when we come close to them, even as traveler, they would still at least look at us. These NPC just straight up ignoring us.
The deer, sometimes appearing as a triple goddess of the hunt, the moon, and the underworld. The Frostmoon Scions also appear more advanced than they let on. Helka hints that some of the relics on Hisi Island resemble ancient secret source technology, but they're dormant for now. One figure we know from this group is Lama, the Moon Chant envoy, the current priestess of the Frostmoon Scions. She's described as a guardian who ensures no innocents or animals are harmed, though if chaos breaks out, she'll act to protect the land. Her name comes from Baltic mythology, where Laumes were fairy-like spirits tied to nature, orphans, and even shape-shifting, sometimes appearing with animal traits. Her design even echoes those myths, down to the big personalities associated with Laumes and folklore. Each of the Moonchant envoys has had access to an ancient relic that lets them see the true past. Lauma is still working to piece together the scattered history of the Frostmoon Scions and the moons themselves. When the moons shattered, many of their fragments fell across NOD-KRAI. These are known as the Ancient Moon's Remnants. However, as we'll see in the upcoming Archon quest, the Frostmoon Scions relic has been stolen, presumably by the Fatui, who seem determined to twist its power. The Scions' bond with the Moon Goddess may even connect to Columbina, and that's already putting them at odds with the Fatui, but we'll get to that soon in this video. Another group with deep roots in NOD-KRAI's history are the Snowland Fae. Their story starts in the finale of the Deep Gallery's artifact set, back in the age when the Heavenly Principles ruled Teyvat completely. Beneath the golden city of Hyperborea lived the first angel, bound to Celestia by a crown that doubled as a shackle. The first angel fell in love with a mysterious youth, a voyager who revealed his consciousness had traveled across worlds. Their marriage was even witnessed by the 3 Moon Sisters. Using forbidden knowledge, artisans of Hyperborea created new life.
Yes, the new life that they created. Hoyo giving Lauma a mega chest is for historical accuracy, not just Gunabet. Yeah, I now fully understand. I now fully understand the vision of Hoyoverse. I am so sorry for having doubted them before. All they do is for historical accuracy.
Beings built in knowledge, artisans of Hyperborea created new.
Among Us collab is real, thought it was fake. It was real. It was shared both by... I initially thought that was just some memes on created as well. But apparently it's shared by the Twitter of both Among Us and Hoyoverse.
Life. The Fae, beings built on the bones of giant beasts. These became the Snowland Fae, but Celestia struck back within 30 days, casting down celestial nails, destroying the city and cursing the angels. Those who fell in love again became Seelies, doomed to wander in sorrow. This might be one of the biggest clues that Columbina is actually
hold. This is so important, Law. Hold on.
Are the Snowland Fae. Their story starts in the finale of the Deep Gallery's artifact set, back in the age when the Heavenly Principles ruled Teyvat completely. Beneath the golden city of Hyperborea lived the first angel, bound to Celestia by a crown that doubled as a shackle. The first angel fell in love with a mysterious youth, a voyager who revealed his consciousness had traveled across worlds. Their marriage was even witnessed by the 3 Moon Sisters. Using forbidden knowledge, artisans of Hyperborea created new life, the Fae, beings built on the bones of giant beasts. These became the Snowland Fae, but Celestia struck back within 30 days, casting down celestial nails, destroying the city and cursing the angels. Those who fell in love again became Seelies, doomed to wander in sorrow. This might be one of the biggest clues that Columbina is actually an angel. The finale of the Deep Gallery's artifact set explains the Seelie curse. If an angel gazed into someone's eyes and showed love meant only for them, instead of for all humanity, they'd be cursed to become Seelies. That's why Columbina's eyes are always closed. If she opens them, she risks triggering the curse, becoming a Seelie herself. Somehow the Snowland
Okay. And she's cooking.
They later pledged loyalty to the first Cryo-Archon, the Beletsar, and became part of his court in the Northlands. They've since lost much of their glory, but the lore suggests they may still hold influence in modern-day Snezhnaya. The Fae were said to be made from bones of great beasts, which could...
So if she opens her eyes and look at us, and she does not turn into Seelie, how do we feel?
They've since lost much of their glory, but the lore suggests they may still hold influence in modern-day Snezhnaya. The Fae were said to be made from bones of great beasts, which could mean dragons. We've already seen something similar in Fontaine with the Melusine, who were created from the remains of Elenus, an abyssal dragon. And remember, before the Heavenly Principles arrived, Teyvat belonged to the dragons. After their defeat, there would have been countless dragon corpses left behind, right? So what did Hyperborea do? Maybe they recycled them into Fae. I mean, that's pretty resourceful, I guess. So the Fae might be part dragon. Their symbol seems to be a
That seems a little bit far-fetched.
Both have pointed elf-like ears, suggesting they may be connected or a similar race. And if that's true, one very familiar face might secretly be a Snowland Fae, Pulcinella of the Fatui. And speaking of the Fatui,
I love the bait and switch there.
Next, the Pale Star Edict, that highest.
But although still, there are characters in Teyvat that just have elf-like ears, and they are just being accepted into the community, like very normal people. So I think even though they are rare, they are not a mythical thing, right? And people have been accepting them into society.
And Fae, Pulcinella of the Fatui. And speaking of the Fatui, let's talk about them next. The Pale Star Edict, that highest of commands, has gone out. With it, the Fatui Harbingers have been summoned back to Snezhnaya and dispatched to NOD-KRAI. Helka mentions the Fatui had been stockpiling huge amounts of construction material, and rumors say at least one Harbinger is already there. This looks like the next step in a long-term plan. If it ties into Project Stuja, first mentioned in Arlecchino's story quest, then maybe we're doomed? In Russian, Stuja means cold. Think of it as Genshin's version of winter is coming. Project Stuja could be their endgame, the plan Piero teased in A Winter Night's Lazo when he promised to tear down the current world order and rebuild it in the Fatui's image. Dottore is reportedly researching ancient moon remnants, and his massive machine in NOD-KRAI might not just be a fortress, it could be a replacement moon. A literal mechanical moon.
Damn.
But NEFER's weapon warns that trying to replicate or replace the moons has catastrophic consequences. Which means if the Fatui go through with it, things could end very bad.
How does law just get randomly put into some weapons like this? And how does people know to dig in them?
The Pyro Dragon Sovereign.
I have utmost respect for the people like Smith who digs into the full lore of Teyvat and every nook and crannies of the world to make these videos for us.
Stop the
normal humans in Teyvat are actually not the standard. They might be the most common, but it's completely normal to see a Melusian, so having elf ears is nothing in comparison. I see, yeah, that could be true. Yeah, that's true, that's actually true. And we also have Adepta in Liyue, we have Yokai in Inazuma. Some reception of the Yokai is not the greatest, so there's definitely some friction in some war, some nation.
Dragons from their exploration of the stars and their attempts to replicate the great miracle of moon forging. In other words, before the Great War of Vengeance, the dragons actually tried to forge a new moon, since the three moon sisters were already under the Heavenly Principle's control. But it didn't end well. The dragons ultimately lost both wars for control of Teyvat. There's even a local prophecy. Yet from the ashes of the fallen moons, the new moon rises, its ascent spinning the wheel of fate anew. The Frost Moon Scions already worship Columbina as this new moon, building statues of her all over NOD-KRAI. The Fatui, in turn, caged those statues either to harness her power or prove their dominance. And remember, Columbina isn't just any harbinger, she's the third of the 11, and the top 3 are said to rival Archons themselves. But here's the catch. According to NEFER's memories, the Fatui have already brought a moon down once before. And it seems they definitely knew about Columbina's status as a new moon from the prophecy. She's a harbinger because she's the celestial body they need to control in order to build their vision of a new Teyvat. The livestream may have revealed Columbina's real name, Gutar. Columbina or Damslet is her Fatui title. In Finnish mythology, Gutar is the goddess of the moon. This ties perfectly with what we know. Columbina was born in NOD-KRAI and worshipped by the Frost Moon Scions as their moon goddess long before she ever joined the Fatui. But now, for reasons still unknown, she's recently left the Fatui and is said to be hiding somewhere near Hisi Island. According to Lauma,
so there's some fiction, or her alliance with the Fatui from the beginning has been just taking advantage of them.
Goddess would one day return. Columbina did return, but not in the way anyone expected. In the trailer, Columbina says she still wishes to return to the moon that belongs to her. That line opens up a lot of theories. After 2 of the moons were destroyed and the Frost Moon silenced, Columbina may have fulfilled the prophecy by becoming the new moon. The Frost Moon Scions worshipped her as such, but if the Fatui really did pull her moon down from the sky, she may have crashed into Teyvat itself, only to later strike a deal with the Tsaritsa. In NOD-KRAI, we'll get to meet her in a place called the Silver Moon Hall. After completing tasks like singing with her or taking a stroll, she'll offer her gratitude.
Singing? Hello? Okay, sure.
Giving you powerful support in your journey.
Teenagers are building businesses with AI, while the only AI you know is ChatGPT.
Let's be real.
She's just sitting in her own little realm and we come and sing with her? Okay. Okay, Genshin. That's a little bit, out there, but sure. Let's see if they can justify that.
Here's a thought. What if the Seelie we see following the Traveler in NOD-KRAI is an extension of Columbina herself? It could be her power or even her consciousness shared with us once we resonate with her moon statue. Another possibility is that this unique Seelie is connected to Nicole Rain, the Hexen Circle witch who, like Columbina, might also be an angel. The Fatui seem desperate to claim the authority of Kuvaki. They've even set up the Kuvaki Experimental Design Bureau, using the moon's power to forge new weapons. And at some point, we're going to have to break into this fortress ourselves to uncover what they're really planning. Here's where things get complicated. Because in the Luna 1 teaser, it almost looks like the Traveler's sibling is working with the Fatui. But are they really on the same side? Either this is all an illusion, or there's something much bigger going on behind the scenes. On the surface...
Oh yeah, it could be an illusion. Yeah, I don't think we're gonna get a full-on Abyss sibling story thing. It's just probably a short, brief scene, a cutscene.
surface, it might look like they're working together, but I don't think it's that simple. The Abyss Order, which his sibling leads, has one clear goal: to revive Conria and give it a new physical location. They're focused on preserving the past. The Fatui, on the other hand, wants something completely different. Their mission is to build a new Teyvat, one that follows their rules, their vision, their order. So how could these two groups possibly work together? The only way I see it making sense is if the sibling, and by extension the Abyss Order, struck a deal with the Tsaritsa. If Conria is promised a place in the new—
This is from the quest I have not done, so I don't know much context about.
new world the Fatui are trying to create, that might explain this sudden alliance. The Fatui aren't the only force causing to go with the Tsaritsa. If Conria is promised a place in the new world the Fatui are trying to create, that might explain this sudden alliance. The Fatui aren't the only force causing chaos in NOD-KRAI. There's another contender for the title of main antagonist, the Wild Hunt. The name Wild Hunt comes from Scandinavian myth, where ghostly riders led by Odin or Thor storm through the sky in winter, stealing souls and bringing disaster. And according to Helka, the Abyss's presence is growing fast. She even warns the northern paths aren't safe anymore.
Okay, I see. So the Wild Hunt is based in folklore. That's why it's also a thing in The Witcher.
Wild Hunt seems to possess the bodies of its victims, which is why we see some of their forces wearing the clothes of fallen Lightkeepers. They also appear able to separate souls
That's
from
a lot
bodies,
of lore, yeah.
given the spirits seen wandering across NOD-KRAI. In some versions of the myth, the hunt isn't chasing anything. It's punishment, damning souls, dragging the lost into the dark, or marking those fated to die. The Abyss in NOD-KRAI matches this perfectly. Their emblem even looks like an upside-down deathly statuette, an item already tied to Conria and abyssal corruption. That's no coincidence. The statuette references Odin himself, who hung upside down from the world tree to gain forbidden wisdom. There's a painting and story called The Wild Hunt of Odin, where a joyful wedding descends into chaos as
my brain is turning gears right now. I'm trying to connect this with the God of War game that I have played. Something about something about Odin, something about Thor. But of course, these laws in this game are slightly altered. The gear is just turning.
The riders tear across the sky. Sound familiar? It mirrors Genshin's own tragedies. Specifically, the Seelie wedding cursed by the heavenly principles. The same story mentioned in the finale of the Deep Galleries and the records of Jueyun. And then there's the leader of the Wild Hunt. Who could it be? I'd like to think Conria's 5 sinners are involved. During the Song of the Welkin Moon teaser, Alice holds a cryptic note in her hand. During the Song of the
Hold on. I want to look at the 5 sinners. Where is this animation coming from? And this animation is actually having the this sinner, the master of Skirk. I cannot remember his name right now. But the design is correct, so maybe it's one of the more recent animation. Genshin was connected with God of War. Kratos versus Rex Lapis in his prime would be so tough. Indeed. Chad, do you know, any of you know where this animation is coming from? I'd love to see it.
Think Conria's 5 sinners.
Wait, wait. Maybe this is actually coming from the Abyss sibling quest. I'm dumb. I guess it could be. Cytology? Yeah.
Are involved. During the Song of the Welkin Moon teaser, Alice holds a cryptic note in her hand. On it are 3 names: Aralos, Solnari,
the 3 Moon sisters?
and Canon. One name stands out: Rehir of Solnari, the Avenger of the Moon, or Moon Hunter. If the Wild Hunt is hunting the last lunar societies, Rehir fits too perfectly. Another candidate is Roptatyr the Wise, one of the names for Odin himself, an ancient sage corrupted by the Abyss, commanding the hunt from the shadows. And maybe, just maybe, Roptatyr is the same mad monk who once tried to push the Belitsar to harness the Moon Sisters' power during the Cataclysm. Sinners and Teyvat don't usually get happy endings, and that might be true for the founder of the Treasure Hoarders. Most people see them as a messy gang of small-time criminals, but their roots run deeper. The group actually began in NOD-KRAI, founded by Reed Miller, a legendary thief who dreamed of a world without boundaries. the childhood friend of the Torch Forger, the founder of the Lightkeepers. But Reed's story didn't end in triumph. He started out dreaming under the moonlight with a Torch Forger and ended up executed as an infamous bandit, a revolutionary turned outlaw. But maybe his legacy didn't die there. Kaya has said his grandfather was a pirate who passed down his eye patch as proof. He also claimed his grandfather found a divine sword from Celestia itself, powerful enough to summon storms and kill sea monsters. But it was too dangerous, and too many people were desperate to claim it for themselves, so it was hidden away. That treasure was said to rest in the lost Arcadian ruins, the same questline that mentions Hyperborea, the fallen golden city of the Frostmoon Scions and the Snowland Fae. Alice even teases Kaya about his bloodline and treasure hunting.
I should probably do this quest in Fontaine. Probably at some point before we get more lore from NOD-KRAI as well. So just to give more context for myself regarding it. Marianne, I think this quest, some people has mentioned that it's somewhat related to Sandroni somehow.
The Snowland Fae.
I've not done it, so I'm not getting the connection.
About his bloodline and treasure hunting past during the Golden Apple Archipelago event. And when you connect that with his Conrian heritage, you start to wonder, was Reed Miller Kaya's grandfather? Or at least part of Kaya's bloodline? Maybe even a Conrian exile himself? And here's a wild theory. What if Reed Miller's great treasure is actually the Traveler's original sword? The one we lost in Genshin's very first cutscene. Apparently, one of the clues to finding this great treasure is hidden inside the Fatui fortress, and plenty of factions are already hunting for it. If this sword really could summon storms, slay sea monsters, and was so powerful it had to be hidden away, it lines up perfectly. It could be the Traveler's lost weapon, and maybe even the same legendary blade Kaya once said his grandfather carried. It would mean Kaya isn't just a spy.
What does the blade do though? It did not save the Travelers from Asmodee.
He could also be the heir to Reed Miller's dream, a world without boundaries. And maybe he's planning to carry that dream forward through the treasure hoarders. Vile, an NPC in Mondstadt, suggests Kaya keeps dossiers on treasure hoarders and tracks their movements. Sounds less like a bystander and more like someone with influence in the faction. Just like D-Luke is involved in his own underground network, Kaya might have one too. And imagine this, in NOD-KRAI we don't just meet playable characters of the treasure hoarders, we meet Kaya as a 5-star. Or someone directly tied to his family's legacy. Because of what's waiting in NOD-KRAI, we're definitely going to need some big, strong hands to keep us safe. Next up, the Knights of Favonius. And I think we all know who's finally showing up.
She's a good attack.
Varka is the Grandmaster of the Knights of Favonius. Years ago, he led an expedition that took nearly 80% of the Knights' manpower, leaving Jean as the acting Grandmaster. He's so powerful that even Child calls him the Titan of the Knights and hopes to one day fight him. But Varka isn't just a warrior. He's been a father figure to half of Mondstadt. He brought Rosaria into the Knights, gave Eula a chance when no one else would, and even raised Razor, giving him his name and training him in combat. He's everyone's daddy. He's out here adopting everyone. Comment down below if you want.
Oh god. So that brings the question, why is he so young? Hoyabuzz gave him a beard. Why is he so young?
Varka to adopt you too. On his travels, he's crossed paths with Capitano and even stopped by Natlan where he got drunk in a drinking contest with the Pyro Archon Mawika and lost. He's gathered a lot of new information on his journey, and now his focus is on NOD-KRAI. A possible plot point is that the Knights will eventually work with the Lightkeepers to hold the line against the Wild Hunt and defend the Lighthouse, a literal beacon against the Abyss. If that light is beginning to fade, the Knights may be helping restore its power, possibly with aid from the Frostmoon Scions. So not only is Varka finally stepping out of the shadows, but he's walking straight into one of the biggest battles NOD-KRAI has ever seen. And all of it might be for Mondstadt's sake. It's no secret Teyvat is heading toward another massive war, one that will drag in every nation we visited. Alice has hinted that the borders of Teyvat are weakening, and even A and Yaimiko casually talk about war in the middle of a karaoke party. Varka could be in NOD-KRAI to learn how to harness the moon's power to protect Mondstadt. After all, Mondstadt literally means Moon City. And who can we expect
wonder what
to
the
watch
connection
the
is
plot
there.
from afar, teacup in hand? The Hexen Circle. The Hexen Circle is a secretive coven of powerful witches, some strong enough to rival the gods. They meet for tea parties, explore Irminsul, and even record their stories in The Little Witch and the Undying Fire, a 7-volume collection scattered across the Imaginarium Theater. Here's who we know. Alice, Klee's chaotic mom and founder of the coven, calls Teyvat's borders fragile, maybe hinting at NOD-KRAI. After all, NOD-KRAI is located at the edge of Teyvat. Her frenemy Barbeloth, Mona's master, is a powerful visionary and can read the fortunes of the entire world. Ai Ivanovna N, the first mayor of Snezhnaya, had no magic but earned the witch's respect. She left the coven after marrying a mortal. Ender's daughter, author of The Boar Princess, taught Alice grief and foreshadowed Durin's possible revival through her Simulanka stories. Then there's Nicole Rain, the witch who speaks directly into minds. She's appeared in multiple Archon quests and has even been seen with wings and a halo in the Song of the Welkin Moon teaser, hinting she might be an angel just like Columbina. Nicole may actually be mute. She once described herself as suffocated by her inability to speak, and Wolfie even mentions that one of Madame Mage's friends suffocated.
Does she actually say that she's mute?
May actually be mute. She once described herself as suffocated by her.
I merely refrained from saying anything until now. No, that's not it.
Her inability to speak, and Wolfie even mentions that one of Madame Mage's friends is mute, but communicates directly into people's minds. Octavia is a wanderer from a destroyed world who rarely attends their meetings. She's an outlander, an alien from a different planet. And of course, there's Rhine-Daughter, the Conrian sinner who created Durin and Albedo, and who also happened to merge with the Shade of Life. Like everything with the Hexen Circle, we're left with more questions than answers, and that's exactly—
We heard Nicole and Skirk in Sumeru. We heard Nicole, I remember that. I don't think we have heard Skirk before, but we met Skirk for the first time in Fontaine, Archon Quest, after defeating the whale. Or as she helps defeating the whale, I cannot remember which. Also, Treasure Holder, welcome back to the stream. We are diving deep into the lore right now.
how they want it. But there's
Skirk was called Cetaria then? Huh.
something about NOD-KRAI that really bothers me. When I read the Long Night's Oath artifact set, there was one passage that honestly kept me up at night. It's kind of scary. The passage describes the Lightkeepers being slaughtered during the Cataclysm. Amidst the sludge-sullied tundra now soaked in the blood of heroes, a young warrior knelt among the bodies of his fallen comrades. And so, like his ancestors before him, he prayed to an old god that no one now called upon. Somewhere out there, as if in answer to his pleas, a long, dormant phantom stirred from slumber. That ghostly fire of which ancient legends spoke would burn brightly anew on fresh fields of battle. So here's the question. What ancient god is about to wake up in NOD-KRAI? And that's NOD-KRAI, a land born from light, scarred by betrayal, and now at the center of every major power struggle in Teyvat. And that's everything you need to know about NOD-KRAI before Song of the Welkin Moon Luna 1 goes live.
Okay, I'm glad. Thank you, Minsley, for catching me up before Song of Welkin Moon Luna 1 goes live.
If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next video. I'm your leafy lore keeper Minsley, and I read the Genshin Impact lore so that you don't have to.
Oh. Cetaria, why would you go home? The gods are angry. Remember something like this in the Archon Quest? Wait. I'm kidding. Cetaria has the same English VA as Skirk, same voice. Who's Cetaria? Is that from a different... Sorry, Cetaria? What's Cetaria? Oh, really? Quest exclusive NPC. Researcher. Sumeru. So they just share the same VA and not... I think they just share the same VA. Yeah. What ancient god? Like 3 goddess? We have no idea. But I am intrigued regarding it all. I appreciate this video a lot. I feel giddily when things are coming together and I can finally put my fingers on the lore of Genshin, which I think Genshin should do a little bit better job of rather than having to watch videos like this to understand the lore. I want them to introduce that more into the Archon Quest, which I think they are doing now with the introduction of NOD-KRAI, so I am excited about that. Hello, Pip. Good to see you again in stream. You just missed a full video diving on lore. That was 42 minutes, by the way. And with me just yapping on top of it, that's probably an hour of watching videos. Next time, the manga. Yeah, I think it's probably... Yeah, I think it's probably enough to digest for lore for today. I need a little bit of digestion too. If we watch more lore, it might just get diluted, and at the end of the day, I get nothing from it. Hello, Pip. Just saying, VI didn't bother changing her voice, so they both sound the same. Fair enough. What if in the end of Genshin we find out that Clay is the real protagonist? Real. What if the Abyss sibling was the real protagonist all along? What if it's a time loop? Alright. I mean, it's all kind of related, right? Oh man, you were sleeping, woke up just now? Yeah, what if Genshin find out? Okay. Forgot about it, but did Kave hang out and we met Citaria again? Was like, this is Skirk? Nice. Yeah, I think the Skirk VA also talked about something about her voicing someone in the game before taking the role of Skirk. I don't think I've done that world quest before. There are a few world quests in Sumeru and a few world quests in Fontaine that I need to catch up on. It seems to have important lore implication in those. So I'm gonna need to find some time for that. But probably not this week though, because we are quite busy this week with Luna 1 release. It's all the Welkin Moon Luna 1 patch releasing tomorrow in about maybe 22 hours from now. So tomorrow we're definitely I am starting the stream in tomorrow at around 20 hours from now, and then we can just hang out together watching some more hype trailer, watching some more lore videos as we are waiting for the server to go live. Well, that's what we're doing tomorrow. I am streaming tomorrow at both morning time for me and evening time for me. Since we are hyping about the new region. Toward the end of this week, I will also be calculating some NEFER damage and testing Lauma, the character that's newly released from tomorrow. And toward the end of the week, I will be doing a little bit of Abyss helping because it's about to reset next week. So look forward to that. I'm gonna let people have some time to do the Archon quest before I do the Archon quest on stream, so people can join in with the reaction. Pull your llama tomorrow? Absolutely. Tomorrow I will be also open to pulling for any viewers if you want to. I'll be pulling llama on my main account, and then we'll do other pullings. Paimon, yeah, it's the main protagonist, right? Right. What Primojam? Primojam. So if you have missed the stream, my stream earlier, we did go over the banners and give a little bit of summary. Let me give a little bit of summary for the people that has missed the stream on the pull value of this banner. Lauma is a good character. Barbara is a bad character to see on banner. We have her for free. Her constellation just grab. Shinobu is a good minus character that works in Hyper Bloom. Kave is a decent minus character that works in Hyper Bloom. Technically, Barbara can also work in Hyper Bloom, but it's just because we have her for free already that her pull value is nothing. So this banner overall is a good minus banner. This is a very similar banner. Nahida is just not as strong as Lauma nowadays because Lauma C0 is as strong as Nahida C2, which is unfortunate. But overall, Nahida will fit in exactly all the role that Lauma would fit in, so that means all the 4 stars are gonna work with Nahida as well. And this is a decent banner. This is a decent weapon banner. The 4-star lineup is not that good, and the 5-star lineup is not that amazing either. Oh, how many pools have I got? I have about 400 pools saved up for my main account. I have my alt account has 200 pools saved up. What about Station? Station is no longer available as of right now. So there will be no Station helping. Station is no longer available. It is ended. While watching my stream, you got an artifact. Gladiator pyro damage, goblet at the 3.9 crit rate. 34.2 crit damage. Oh my god, that is a god artifact for pyro character that wants to react to damage. What the hell? Potentially Alikino, potentially Mahuika, potentially... Wait. Yeah. But holy fuck, that's so good. Alright, chat. But with that, that's gonna mark the end of the stream today, since we've spent quite a bit of time digging into the lore of Genshin and getting ourselves hyped for the next version. And join again tomorrow for more hanging out and getting excited for the new version together. We do a little bit of obligatory exploring. You missed the station health, not your Fowls. I'm gonna try to insert a little bit more station help the next version. Alright, chat. It has been fun. I'm gonna see you tomorrow. Both the burp mama and Flames greeting us off. Alright, chat. Behave, okay? I'm gonna see you by the end of this version and the beginning of the next one. The new journey of Genshin is opening up to us.
This is an auspicious era.
Music! Chat, if you've been liking the stream, make sure to like, subscribe, follow on Twitch, and if you want to further support me, you can do super chat on YouTube as well as joining YouTube membership. I'll see you around, chat. Appreciate ya. Bye bye.